niestety, no jak widzę, że jakiś fragment, bo niestety... A, dobra. O, elo! No dobra, zaraz zaczniemy to Sacramento Day 2. No ale też tak jak poprzednio, aż tam do wytrzymania, albo póki nie będziemy aż tak przeszkadzać domowi. No, sztrukart będzie już łatwiejszy. Ile będzie? Ale zobaczę kiedy sztrukart. No niestety znalazł się, no niestety teledysku Aurory nie można korzystać. Więc taki F-moment. To jest trochę niedobrze. Trzeba coś powiedzieć. Bo jak mi zablokuje Polskę, to będzie lipa. Jak wiemy, no tam sporo osób, zwłaszcza tych, co grali na streamie, no dostał się m.in. Brennan Torrison, dostał się właśnie Hunt ze swoim Terapagos, dostali Łoślawadę, Emlet ze swoim Roaring Moonem, mamy właśnie, no i Kobi Kawasaki, którego już widzieliśmy. No sporo... Ciekawe jak będą Snorlaxy. Bo jest to ta wersja z rotomów. Mogę zrobić splita, to mała wcisnę mróweczka. Mrówcia. Będzie zabawnie wtedy z mróweczka, a mrówcia, a... Kurde, no to za żart, że mi czat tutaj... No nie wiem. Ten czat się tutaj rozwalił. O ja! O dobra, jest. Widzę czat. Ale dobra, przechodzimy do Day 2 z Sacramento. Nowy pierwszy turniej poważny w nowym formacie. Jak się sprawuje Snorlax w nowym formacie, to też tego nie wiemy. Jeszcze jedną duże zmiany. Mending Mono na przykład jest też bardzo fajny. No już super. Szymański ma zawsze jakiś śmieszny... A, tak samo drogą dostał się Azul Grego Garciego, a.k.a. Azul GG, czyli chłop wrócił do gry, bo go długo nie było, a wcześniej on po prostu komentował. I chłop postanowił, wracam do gry. Tak, Azul wrócił. Jakby ktoś się pytał, tak, Azul ma swój kanał na YouTubie i swoje konto Twitch też. A on tam nic nie komentuje, bo on tam jest. Że będzie vlogasek z tego. Ciekawe jest, o czym grał Azul, bo ostatnio grał Snorlaxem. Elcia, co się stało? Ej! Ej!
Hello, Pokemon fans, and welcome back to the Sacramento Regional Championships. We're here in day 2, where the sun is shining brightly on all our Pokemon
video game też jest, bo my w Katowicach mamy ligę video game'ów, że ona jest skromna. Tyle, może przecież...
Rusted Caribou. Boo, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I was so
No,
happy to see the
organizowana,
sunshine
lubię
this morning. It's
spróbować.
been raining here in Sacramento, so that was a good twist, and I'm sure that sun's gonna be shining on a lot of our players because they're running hot out there in the field right now.
No, złożam.
100%.
Ciekawe, jakie są statystyki na Day 2, bo przypominam, poprzednio dominowały Reggie Drago. Ej. Co to dostało Raga? No tak widzę. Aha. Łącza. Nie zawsze stabilnym. Nie wiem, czy da się komentował. Co nie komentował. A, dobra. Ray Alucci prowadzi, potem mamy Johna Enga, mamy Williamson, no, ułatwienia. Cody Putin, Samuel Sainza, mamy Brenneta Torrisona, Andrew Hendricksa, Nolana Skylina. Więc tak, Ryan Alucci prowadzi 9-1. Mamy jeszcze Wiktora de Velasco, Ganta Mankeya, który chyba już był. Dużo tych kutasów jest. John Berlinga. No, top 16. A potem co? W Polsce zdycha to troszkę. Ja zakładam, że trochę to zdechnie, jak będziemy w Stuttgarcie, bo u nas to trochę inaczej wygląda meta. U nas zawsze przyjdzie jakiś kontrol. W Warszawie, w Gdańsku, 2 Turcy, Snorlax, no Baneta, czy Baneta jest midrange bardziej, ale... A to jest za mniejsze miejsce też są. Tak. To jest tegoroczne. A, i warto zaznaczyć, zapowiedzieli już na 2026 kolejną lokalizację, jaką jest San Francisco. Tak, bo zostały już zapowiedziane 2 Worldsy, na tych Worldsach w Honolulu. Anaheim jest pierwszy z kolei. No, nie wiemy, jak będzie przebiegać meta Worldsów póki co po rotacji. Na pewno nie będzie Reggie Drago już. Trzeba znaleźć kogoś. Nie będzie losboxów. No i nie będzie stoli, więc no już... Chociaż kto wie. Będziemy chyba Ogerponem sobie tak stolowali.
Don't miss a minute of the action. Stay tuned all weekend long to watch the battles unfold live. To stay up to date on future Play Pokemon events, visit pokemon.com/play.
No i tutaj takie przypomnienie.
Prize pool that our players are going to be going for today, this entire weekend, this entire season. My name is Adam Watson, joined on the deck by Pablo Meza, and we're going to be breaking down round 1 for you.
Now we have a lot to play for, those amazing prizes, $10,000.
Mamy naszych prowadzących. No, zaraz przejdziemy do statystyk.
There's so much to play for, Adam, and we're heading into round
Zaskakująco tym razem jest dużo wcześniej, co znaczy, że jest... Też możemy sobie otworzyć już niedługo tego Linkin Parka, którego nie odpakowałam, dalej ma cenę. I jeszcze na dodatek ta naklejeczka. Myślę, że... Znaczy, jeszcze nie odpakujemy, bo tej naklejce przejdziemy, bo ona jest śmieszna. To jest ten Partner Act for Expert Content.
Before you could get 500 and chill, Latin America had 350 and chill, right? But now you have to keep up with your competition, right? And if they're doing well, you need to be on their level as well, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of competitors, even those who have already qualified for Worlds, they're still, they travel the world in order to keep up with that price race, to earn those travel awards as well for the World Championships.
Yeah, some would say that they're in it for the love of the game. They love competition, but they have to make sure that they're staying clean and practice for the entire
Chyba
season,
niektórzy
which you
tam
mentioned, Pablo.
zawodowi
Speaking
się
of which, we're
przerzucają
gonna
trochę
head
na
right down to the
lurkana, ale
table. Our next stream match is getting underway, so we're gonna head over there right
nie wiem
now.
jak będzie, bo nie orientuję się co tam gra.
Our
Aha,
players, we have
no nareszcie coś innego! No to mamy oczywiście Johna Berlika ze swoim Charizardem oraz Wiktora de Velaresco z Goldego z Togakisem, który ma abilitkę polegającą na tym, że jeżeli mamy Hetsa, to bierzemy dodatkowego prize'a. Zresztą Goldengo też został nowym dodatkiem mocno rozpieszczony, co powoduje, że może się powiedzieć trochę więcej tych Goldengo. Więc to jest ciekawy mecz. Przynajmniej nie Regi Drago, no. Charizard i Goldengo, tak. No, znaczy, też zastanawiam się, czy ten Togakis nie wcisnąć do Raging Bolda, bo to jest jakaś odpowiedź na ten problem na przykład z prize'ami, bo one są tu okropne. No przy single prize'ach, a wolelibyśmy brać spread 2-2, taki Togakis może pomóc. Znaczy Charizard to jest taki klasyk. No właśnie zastanawiam się, czy może następnym razem, no może jednak czarkiem nie zagrać, bo to faktycznie jest jednak deck bardziej konsekwentny. Ale tak, no nie wiemy jaka to jest wersja Goldengo, bo warto zaznaczyć, że też teraz grają nowego speka, który się nazywa Energy Search Pro, pozwalający wyszukać różne energie. It's just a matter of is it the right tournament for it, and Charizard did pretty well in the lower age. Aha, Radiant, Torton, Candy, Nesbol, no nie tak źle, no ho. Widzę, że Wiktor też gra Tortona. Ach, Torton. Chyba się docenia coraz bardziej. Niby go wywalasz, bo to się okazuje praktycznie jest. No z Tortonem jest też tak broken staw, że... Znaczy, Radiant, Charizard, no właśnie to jest taki problem, ale on jest w lejcie, tak? Jedna energia, no nie tak źle. No mało okropniejsze prize. Zresztą jeśli chodzi o Goldengo, to też widać, że te prizy nie są tragiczne. Torton jest też taki jednak, bądźmy sobie szczerze, sytuacyjny. Ale sam fakt, że... O, tu mamy oczywiście tak, no oczywiście... O nie, pas po stronie Johna. No niedobrze.
Just a Duskull. I couldn't even get a shot of the hand there, Pablo. A fire energy, finally a couple night structures.
Ojojoj. Mamy oczywiście tego nowego Gimigula, który wyszukuje energię. Tak, to jest ten nowy Gimigul. To też jest duża zmiana. Aha, to raczej chyba z czego co widzę nic nie wyjął, chyba. Tak, nic nie wyjął, bo tam chyba nie było żadnego poka, ale wolę sprawdzić, żeby nie było.
Fortunately for John, you know, Golden Go EX is still an evolution deck, so you have a little bit of leeway here before the floodgates open and the rain comes pouring in, certainly.
Yeah, all these coins about to get dropped on this poor Pidgey next turn.
No tak, mamy oczywiście Togakisa, tak, to jest wersja z Togakisem. O, chyba tu widzę, że tu jest grane Energy Search Pro, bo widzę, że są różne energie. No, Greninja. On jest sprajzowany, tak? Czyli gra z Energy Search Pro, bo widzę, że on ma różne spread energii. Czy to jest wersja z Togakisem, czyli chyba nie ma możliwości... No, czy wiecie, no jak headsik, to na tym biednym PJ-u jest już nagle dwa takie już. No, mamy tutaj energię. Tak, no i oczywiście mamy Gimigula, który wyszukuje energię. Znaczy można zauważyć tutaj te spready. Znaczy tak.
Charmanders, no Nest Balls,
I
otherwise
chyba nie ma walki. Oho, jest Arwenik.
In order to help him, and does get that Arven top deck off the top, so
No.
it's like John went second now.
Oh, perfect. Arven's going to keep John in this game. I have
No
to give a
właśnie,
minor
co
shout out,
za-
of course, to the minor
Chyba
Aaron
body
coming in
Buffin.
to get some energy out of the deck, already prepping for a big swing. But
Czy-
off of this Arven with such a mediocre setup, just a Pidgey, no Charmander, a Duskull. What do you think is
Właściwie
going to
to
be the grab here, Pablo?
chyba
Gotta
Nest.
be two Charmanders off this pop-in with the follow-up of Luminion already in the
O,
hand.
ma Luminiona
You're
w
gonna take a
ręku,
shield
dobra,
turn,
to
but,
chyba
I think,
będzie...
you're fine with that. You could also
To jest
go
takie
for that
zastanowienie
Nest Ball
między
plus
Candy
Force Seal Stone
a...
and Force Seal Stone.
Znaczy widzę, że już
Body
przygotowuje
pop and establish the
sukcesem.
rotom to get 3 extra resources. That can sometimes be the way to go about your hand if it's
Berlik.
weak, but, I mean, it was weak for turn one,
Tak,
right? Your
właśnie
Charizard,
chyba wie co
like,
robi.
nice
I widzę, że tu
energy
Turo
was not
scenario.
super strong, but the
Taka
Charizard's
awaryjność.
already there.
I think it just certainly comes down to how much pressure John is feeling. Like, what's he sensing from his opponent? Is there going to be a Golden Go EX? We see right now there's none in the hand. We have one Ultra Ball, and Coin Bonus could really shake that up.
Alright,
O,
I actually
ale on ma
like this.
Lumin...
We have the Luminion, so we're gonna Force Seal Stone for Pidgeot, and then the Pidgeot will quick search for that body pop.
A czy wiecie,
So without
Silstone,
hitting the Pidgeot,
PJ,
now,
Quicks... Tak,
with Victor's very
tak,
strong
oczywiście
start,
szykuję sobie
there's a
kolejnego
possibility that
Arvena na
Pidgeot could go
później.
down next turn.
Silstone,
A bunch of
Faustar
coin
i po
bonuses,
PJ'a.
energy search
PJ
throw,
po
and
oczywiście
impossible
Bady Puffin, żeby wystawić
so-
kolejne Charizardy.
Yeah, I love this establishment here. Rare Candy and a Pidgeot EX. This is going to give John a lot of long-term value, certainly. Quick Search, allowing you to go into the
I
deck
mamy
and get any card you
Puffinki.
like, grabs that Buddy Poppin to get 2 Charmanders established. Even if Pidgeot
No,
goes down,
taka
hopefully
standardowa.
there'll
A
be
to jest
enough
wersja z
Charizard
Anferstampem, ona
EXs
jest
to
bardzo
take over
fajna.
the shift afterwards.
Coś wiem, bo ja grałem wersję z Anferstampem i ona jest super i widać, że jest ona dosyć sprawdzona. Ale to wciąż jest mocna abilitka. Warto zaznaczyć, że abilitka Quick Search była jeszcze w 2004, czyli dokładnie 20 lat temu. Wiecie, to jest stara abilita, ale wiecie, czasy stare, ale jary. Jak to się A, popatrzymy sobie w energię.
We talk so much about how Golden Go has the ability to get a lot more energy than it could previously, but still hitting that 330 HP is going to be a tall order regardless.
No i retreat, pass chyba, tak? No nie za bardzo da się co zrobić.
Charmander just goes into the active after Pidgeot retreats.
No,
And a
pass.
pass. It's back over to Victor.
No i co ma Wiktor?
Definitely Victor has a big advantage here. However,
Pokestop! No, o, no, Pokestop! Nam kiepsko. Goldengo, jeszcze ten Togekiss. A już miałem brać dodatkowe prizy. A. Ajajajajaj. Same Pokemony wleciały i to co gorsza, potrzebne w kategorii w tej chwili.
So Pokestop plus, I guess one of these energies
No.
has to go to the wayside for now.
A czy on gra nosze? Chyba tak. Teraz się gra nosze. Czyli tak, i countercatcher, dobra. No dobra, czyli Togekiss tutaj
Yeah,
poszedł.
hopefully, trying to dig up a Night Stretcher, get that
O,
Togekiss
aha.
back,
A już
really get
miało
things
być
up and running at the
dwa
very
prizy na
least.
tym biednym
Golden
Charmanderku.
Go EX's coin bonus will draw 2 more cards and maybe gets more fodder for the second Ultra Ball. It seemed a pretty
Ciekawe, co
shaky
Holender
there,
Valkepen.
Pablo, but fortunately this could
Mamy odkurzacz. Oj, oj, oj. Jest wszystko. No, znaczy mamy tyle, ile. Znaczy nie jest tak źle. Zrobimy attach. No,
The most explosive start after the pretty powerful turn 1.
yeah, has
Aha,
to take
no.
a single prize knockout. No Togekiss to maybe turn this into a 2 prize. This is showing shades of the classic weaknesses of the Golden Go deck. They can get off to some shaky starts, and if you force them onto awkward prize maps, it buys you so much time.
No tak, a
to get the
najgorsze,
rest
jak
of
się
your deck
powiedzieć,
established.
oczywiście
That's
nasz...
what Charizard wants to do.
Great find for Victor off the prizes with that Cypher Maniac, allowing him to combine that with Greninja to find any 2 cards he might need next turn. But now it's all on John. If he can respond to
Candy.
this, get 2 prizes and knock out Victor's only Goldango, that could be really good. However, in order to do that, he's gonna
Chyba
need to
możliwe, że będzie
Dust
Curse
Glove
Blast,
or
żeby tak
Dust Storm
bardziej
to get some extra
podbić
damage on the board.
obrażenia.
Gonna be Arvin for rare candy, putting him a little bit closer to getting that combo established than Pablo.
Noszę, żeby przywrócić Charmandera. Tak, Czarek jest już na ręce i jeszcze to jest ten drogi Charizard martwy, bo nie wiadomo. No ale co się dziwić, że gramy tutaj, bo to jest najlepszy Charizard.
Only 5 fire energy in this deck. This is kind of the new vogue. I think we went from like 7 to 6 to 5. And so now we're on 5 with the help of Night Stretcher and Super Rod. It's not as greedy as it was considered in the past.
John has the possibility to have a really powerful turn. He might be one
Znaczy on ma jedno w ręku, więc on sobie chyba pewnie podepnie pod tego Czarka, tak?
Gimmickle, and then with the Defiance Band he could take down the Goldango, then he could have eliminated all of Victor's threats, but he might be one card short. He might consider using Pokestop to either hit Ultra Ball or Rare Candy and then quick search for the missing piece.
Chyba będzie zaraz quick search.
With the Charizard in play, with the energy set up, the Pokestop wouldn't be too detrimental if you get some big hits, but John is going to quick search first just to make sure that card he wants doesn't get discarded. What is he looking for here? Maybe just Dust
Czemu
Claw?
on Verstampa
Do a little bit of chip
dostępnego?
damage, not worry too much about the Defiance Band for now.
Ale chyba widzę, że idziemy raczej po Counter Catchera. Czyli wykorzystujemy po prostu tyły. Tak, no tak, idziemy po Counter Catchera, wykorzystując... O, cześć Beast. No to mamy w końcu inny matchup niż na razie tak, no Charizard i Goldango. Zresztą w końcu zobaczyliśmy Goldango, a on dostał też dużo... No i Counter Catcher na biednym Gimigulu.
I don't think you can hit 330. You really got to
No
show
dobra,
me. Sometimes
mamy
you have to force your
kolejnego.
opponent to have it.
Make it rain does require how many energies is that?
No i
7?
Fez w
Oh my
końcu
goodness.
przydatny
Pheasantipity
jest.
will draw 3, make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's 9. 9
Okay.
energies, 9 times 4, 360, 9 times 8 is 320, 10 damage short. But
Czy ja bym
so
jeszcze
far so good.
zrobiła
Victor
jakieś
will
albo
go for that
Verstam.
Cyber Maniac. I love drawing
O, ma
see what
Energy
you get,
Search Pro
and
tak
therefore
swoją
determine
drogą.
what you're
No.
missing, and then you go ahead and
Aha,
cycle
no.
with the
On
gold.
ma w ręku Energy Search Pro.
The Energy Search
Wiecie,
Pro,
like a
get that
pro.
last thing out of the deck. There's plenty of different types of energy still left. I saw fighting, I saw lightning, I saw fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
No wiecie, to jest taka dokokszona wersja zwykłego Energy Searcha, tylko że szukasz tych różnych energii. Stąd mamy różne energie. I co ciekawe, lecimy po bossa. Boss po co? No, tylko że jak...
Chose to grab the boss's orders though as the extra card. So we're gonna see the Energy Search Pro and with that
No to już jest takie odchudzanie deku. No, co ciekawe, mamy jeszcze tu 4 energie. Ale chyba boss jest na później, no bo to jest ciężkie do zbicia.
Okay.
We have another raw energy left.
Pokestop finds an S-ball and an Ultra Ball. I think he needs just a little bit more. This is
He has a nice stretcher.
Że on
He has
ma
a
pewnie
nice
tego
stretcher.
superiora,
You can
tak.
get 9 energies. You can get-
Superior
he only
wchodzi.
plays 10, right? So,
So
he
you
needs
have
pretty
having
much
to
all of them.
recycle all of this from the deck into your hand.
No
back
ale
into
wiecie,
this
teraz
card
trzeba
pile, and then somehow
przysetapować
recover them back into
Goldango.
the hand to knock out the next target. I really wish that Togekiss could have really helped out with some of this prize mapping, but it's just a lonely Togepi kind of just cheerleading for Goldango. You can take this big knockout. I believe in you.
O,
What
a
about the
nie.
next one?
Right? I mean,
No
that
jest
must
i
be
Candy
something
na
like
Togekisie.
There's the
Ten
Togekiss hitting the
przepiękny
board, though, so
słodziaczek.
if we get this knockout, we can flip
Czy
it.
będzie będą 3 prizy?
You can take 3 and set up for 2 prizes remaining. Suddenly you have the Pidgeot, which is a much more attractive idea. You've got the Lumineon. You're making it difficult for John to weave in Dusclops or Dusknoir for a counterplay.
Ma ile?
You can see that there's a lot of sequencing and math that still
Och,
needs to be
musi
done. A
dopiąć.
metal energy attached to the Gimmighoul for the next
Raz.
attack.
O, ma 7
Up
idealnie.
6, 7.
Tak,
Oh,
poszło
50
idealnie.
times. I thought it was 40 times. I was like thinking 40
Yeah,
times.
heads.
50 times. 50 times 7
Okay.
is
No nie, co zawsze tak
350.
jest
More
skuteczne.
than enough.
Okay, and then Tails on the Togekiss. He's still sitting pretty, folks. 3 prize cards remaining. Really unfortunate having to knock out Charmander first and foremost, but all it's going to take is one more Wonder Kiss to close out game 1.
On average, you get 2 coin flips. One of them is tails, one of them is heads. Seems like a pretty good game plan here for Victor, so you don't mind
nie ma. No, ręka po stronie Johna jest taka nie za dobra. Charmander i chyba będzie trzeba po Feza iść, tak? Fez? Tego łapapapa, czy idziemy po Unfair Stamp? O, idziemy po Unfair Stampa. Tak, poszedł po Unfair Stampa, czyli będzie jakby Disrupt w pewnym sensie? Ręka nie wygląda.
Extra help from the Dusclops or Defiance Band. Finally finds it here, has quick search, Charmanders are ready to go.
Now, has already committed the quick search and doesn't have either Rare Candy or Charizard, so now needs to find.
Tak, oczywiście super, żeby zwiększyć jakąkolwiek szansę na to. Ej, Unfair Stamp wchodzi w grę.
One less card back in your deck. If you don't get exactly Rare Candy Charizard here, you are in a world of trouble.
Yeah, and you know that you're going to be swinging with the Charmander with the Defiance Band on it, so you can confidently just use your attach for turn there. Furthermore, didn't play any Professor Tro's scenario, so the Luminion is going to stay in play as a target. Still looking for another supporter of some kind off of this
O, jest Fez, okej.
I see the Charizard, no Rare Candy, but we do have Pheasantipity
No,
in the hand as well,
jest good.
and there's a possibility of spinning the Pokestop as well, so
Znaczy można,
potentially
ale
6 more cards looking for that Rare Candy. Big 3 cards
no
here.
jak dobrze wiemy, czarki grają tak
Show
z
me
4.
Rare Candy.
Czy jest?
Nothing yet. All right, Pokestop, let's go. If you miss a beat here as John, you can retreat the Pidgeot into a Charmander, try to buy yourself another turn, but it's going to come down to Victor having the tempo or a window of opportunity to grab Pheasantipity or Luminion and get a clutch knockout with Wonder Kiss.
Ultra Ball to thin the deck further by 1 card, and if he had been spun Pokestop, he wouldn't have.
Awaryjnie jest już ten Charmeleon, jakby się nie udało.
Right, 2 have been used on the first Charizard and the Pidgeot, so we're gonna have to see, can this Pokestop find exactly Rare Candy?
Charmeleon grabbed off of Ultra Ball, take that out of the deck certainly.
No dawać Pokestopa.
And at the end of the day, after the unfair stamp, I
O,
haven't
nie mamy
seen what
wyjścia.
two cards Victor
Energia,
got.
energia.
And no Rare Candy, so there's not gonna be an attack here for John.
No to mamy plan B.
Sentencing this game. I mean, if he pushes a single prize Pokemon, should be fine for him, but if Victor just finds
No,
the
chyba
ball,
trzeba
enough
zrobić
energy,
casting.
that Luminion requires only 4
Ta.
energy.
It's going to be a counter catcher to bring up Pheasantipity. So now Victor has to get the Golden Go back into the active. Notably, coin bonus draws 2 when Golden Go is in the active spot. When on the bench, it only draws 1.
Oj, pas, kurde.
1 extra card.
Dobra.
Another Goldengo starts with the Pokestop. Manaphy gone, that's fine. The Cypher Maniac. I mean, you want boss this turn, so
No
it's
cóż,
fine
mamy już dwa te.
you lose that for now. I don't think there's any energy left in the deck right now, so has to dedicate Night Stretcher to retreat potentially.
Yes,
and fight the
Cypher Maniac.
but that's not an out.
Now that because you'd have to play the Cypher Maniacs to get the boss and then just draw it from the second Golden Go EX. Victor might be willing to give up on his potential win this turn and just establish the resources he's going to need to get this energy back from the discard pile.
We saw this last turn, we're gonna see it again. Does go for that boss sword, just keep it in hand, have it ready to go. To make sure you have the guaranteed win.
No cóż, widać Cypher Maniac po bossa ewentualnego.
Whichever one goes down, the other one can just take down that Luminion for a single superior energy retrieval. So I think Victor's lining up perfectly to secure the end game right now.
The prize lead is more substantial in Victor's favor, and just the constant threat of Wonder Kiss taking an extra prize when you can't really count on it makes it frustrating for John to navigate this, because he's still got to take 5 prizes somehow, and he's sort of living on borrowed time at this point, especially because of no Radiant Charizard. Actually swinging back on the Golden Go EX is pretty difficult.
Was a few cards short there. Didn't want to get rid of too many.
A szkoda, że miał słaby start niestety, John.
Also dedicated the night stretcher to drop 2 more cards instead, and now keeps the boss in hand. Needs to recover some energies to get the KO on this Charmander. The coin flip now will matter way less for Togekiss, but you would definitely welcome a heads flip to get that extra prize card and extra resource out of the prize card, especially with a superior energy retrieval locked in there still.
And just by setting yourself down to 1 prize card remaining, you're taking the Dust Flops, the Dust Nora off the table, which I think by this point the Blazing Darkness, Burning Darkness is still going to be hitting for 1 shots.
Oh
There
yeah!
is indeed the heads. Wonderkiss finally coming through.
Wonderkiss for an extra prize card. It is indeed that superior energy retrieval. Otherwise, it would have been just a body pop. So Victor has game in hand. Can John disrupt Victor enough? Establish that Charizard.
No, fajnie by było znaleźć sobie Iona. No wiecie, żeby jeszcze bardziej nasroć. To pierwszy mecz dzisiaj, czy już coś grali? To jest pierwszy, który teraz jest transmitowany. Będę już wcześniej... To już jest 11 runda Swissa. To jest ten pierwszy transmitowany. Tak, chyba on ma Iona. Jeszcze bardziej nas smrodzić do granic możliwości. Takie Iona idzie. Żeby jeszcze utrudnić, tak? No i Iona. No, tu trzeba zrobić mocny disrupt.
Because you're drawing 1 less card after taking the prize from Wonderkiss.
Very true. Gets 1 card. We don't see what it is yet.
It was a body puffin, so that means Victor will be able to shuffle the deck. So I would love to see him first use Pokestop because you don't discard.
No i niestety pojawił się problem, bo nie można odpalić duszka. Sad. A czarek. Spodziewaliśmy po wszystkim.
But John definitely in this game for sure still needs to attack 3 more times in order to win, but if he can deny the resources for Victor,
widać, że już John jest już na etapie pierdolenia w życiu. A, i chyba może odpali chyba kolapsa, żeby można było pozbyć się Lumineona, przy okazji ukrócić Pokestopa, tak? No właśnie.
Let's see what Victor's thinking about getting rid of.
Oh,
Doesn't need Togekiss anymore. Very smart idea. And Pokestop also leaving play to make way for Collapse Stadium. Retreats into Charizard EX into the active to take the knockout. 2 more prizes to John. Slowly clawing back into this game, but Radiant Charizard remains prized.
Perfect card off the top now.
Czy będzie boss? No właśnie, to jest problem, bo... Bo on tego bossa chce. Bo on chce coś zbossować, coś małego.
Oh, but just goes for the... Yeah, that just goes for the draw, finds superior.
Yeah, that's it. Because with the Irida he found, he can search for another superior and retrieval and get enough.
Ale dużo to nie zmieniło, no kiepski start był po stronie Charizarda.
No need of the boss, just double superior and retrieval. That's gonna be good enough as long as it's there. Which
yeah, it seems like that's what Victor was focusing in on. I don't need boss's orders because I can find the energy I need.
O nie, no znalazł ostatni superior i nokautuje Charizarda. Kiepski start, no. Niestety po stronie Johna Berlika. Pierwszą rundę wygrała Victor D. Ze swoim serowym książkiem Goldengo. Też już tak trochę mam 2 Goldengo. Takie na wypasie to jest. Aż jak wygląda to trochę to, jak dużo zyskał Goldengo. No to też widzę, że ten czarek w tej liście Johna nie gra nic nowego. Musi grać Centera Orba.
The prize cards, and that would have been problematic, but we have the replay radio of all the action that happened in this game 1.
And getting set up with the golden goes, just has 2 energy.
Więc tak, jest 1-0 dla Wiktora de Velasco. O, właśnie pisze, że to jest Meksykanin akurat, tak. Wiktor jest z Meksyku, z czego co ja widzę. Amerykanin kontra Meksykanin, no wiecie, no mają blisko. Chyba nie spadąc o tym, że ten Togekis to już w ogóle był udany. Że wiecie, koncept Togekisa polega na tym, że jak rzucimy headsa, zdobywamy wykup Prize'a. A trochę szkoda, aby go odpalić ducha.
Like the boss's orders at the bottom, but I'm closer to the other superior energy retrieval. So if I find that, then I just need to search for the other one, and that's exactly what happened. So props to Victor for finding the line to just close out the game without needing to draw boss's orders.
And I do have to remind our audience, right? John had Radiant Charizard in the prizes, which really helps out with this matchup to take these return KOs. Whereas Victor, you know, going into game 2, potentially game 3, if Energy Surge Pro ends up in the prizes, then he is going to struggle to take knockouts, especially in the mid game where it's most important.
Chyba nie miał spoilerowanego.
Gold Dingo right now is the best example of what Surging Sparks is doing to the metagame. It brought new tools for decks to really upgrade them. Right? Gold Dingo has gotten some pretty decent results before at LAC.
No dobra, wcześniej był w Prize'ach. Jezus Maria, John ma chyba jakiś pech do startów, bo zaczynamy naprawdę bardzo źle, bo o, Radiant Charizarda!
Slow start. Has Radiant Charizard, but you really don't want to see it in the active, especially this early in the game. Victor's going to just chill out with the gimme gold.
To chyba nie jest start, którego chciałby widzieć Charizard. Dwie ogniste Nesbolarono, Arvan i Collapse Stadium. Znaczy, dać szczęście dongiem to się nie skończy tak jak u innego nieszczęścia. Kurde, żeby kuźwa zacząć z Radiant Charizard. Wtedy zostaje ci tylko jedna rzecz. Walimy Radianta do usranej śmierci. Albo do...
And I also want to give a quick shout out to the Collapse Stadium being prized. That was so key to remove the Luminion from play and maybe throw off Victor's bench a little bit. Hopefully it won't come into too much of play, but with the Nest Ball, Victor does grab Radiant Greninja.
Tak, do usranej śmierci. No, widać, że Wiktor się bardzo dobrze setupuje, a tu biedny John ze samym Radiant Charizardem. Jakoś co ciekawe, czarki mają dobre wzięcie w juniorach. Szkoda, że to nie jest Masters, a nie Junior.
And finally, an attach return onto the active Gimmighoul and Minor Aaron running to search the deck for 2 energy cards and add them to the hand.
Więc no kurde bele. No jest to bolesne.
Not having any sort of disadvantage, right? Not being threatened by anything from John. And now John needs to slowly but surely establish his bench, the Charmander, the Pidgey, and now because Victor had a whole turn and can evolve and threaten, he might not even be able to bench a Charmander and Pidgey. Might need to go for double Charmander just in case one of them does get KO'd.
And this is on top of needing to expend the Luminion and the 4 Seal Stones so early in the game.
No dobra, oho, udało się top stopnąć bady buffing, czy Zarvena? Nie, Zarvena.
That is when Charizard is at its strongest, when that and Pidgeot allow you to react. But now with 4 Steel Stone being used, Star Alchemy to search through indeed. Is still thinking about going for a second Pidgey, Charmander.
A nie, to jest wersja z duchami, to jeszcze jest z Lumineonem.
John wants to stick to the Duskull plan for this game.
Yeah, the toolkit really puts a big dent on any Dusknoir plans, right? Any bonus prize you give your opponent with Cursed Blast can be to your detriment because Wonder Kiss is so strong, right? Any head flip just completely throws a wrench.
Nie gra Luminatoma, tak, John? No to jest, akurat wersja z Rotonem jest o tyle cięższa, że jak się nie setupujesz,
hopefully get this Radiant Charizard out of the active spot soon and then come swinging right back in.
No i znowu pas.
Just another pass. It's back over to Victor. Golden Go EX evolves immediately in the active spot and coin bonus to draw 2 cards.
Already have their rare candy and Togekiss in hand, so this Radiant Charizard could end up being worth 2 prizes, Adam. That would be so huge.
That's extreme. A second Golden Go found. Another coin bonus for another card. This deck loves to draw, loves to have so many resources, so many options, and it's only a matter of time before Energy Search Pro is found.
Tak. I chodzi Togekiss, tak. John dopiero, no już się dopiero rozłożył, ale Wiktor już się rozkręca.
Now, I think he might be 1 energy short though. Oh no, he has 2 energies in the discard pile, 1 in hand. That's 150 damage, not enough to knock out the Radiant Charizard. So does have the Iron Bundle, which
No
I would imagine
dobra.
if he plays that down and uses it, John might have to promote any of the single
Nie,
prize
do
Pokemon.
tego
that
jeszcze
one
przejdziemy.
can potentially give a Luminion for 3 prizes, but this is something that if you see your opponent hesitate, right, the way Victor has so far, I feel like that's sort of a tell that they
Idziemy
don't
jeszcze
have
do-
enough energies to knock out the Radiant Charizard.
Jakoś lubię te papierowe
or
pudełka, tak swoją
Luminion.
drogą.
So pushing
Mają
it
pewną
has some
zaletę.
merit if you have
Mniej
a
miejsca
very
zajmują.
brave read to his
I
face.
można więcej
But we're gonna see
kontentu
the flip,
wcisnąć.
and that's an
Jest
extra card
hecior! Ho, ho, wiecie. Bierzemy tak, jakby to było Ampiu very much.
Buy time and
Oj,
map
co
out
jest?
how this game is really going to go. He's on an even
Mam?
shorter clock than he would normally be against any other deck. Has rare candy in the Pidgeot.
Co zaś mi tu Windows
Quick
straszy.
Search, still trying to stick in
Jezus,
the
nie będę aktualizował nawet tego kompa, ja nie mam jak!
with 2-3 cards, a little bit more off of Pheasantipity. If you don't get the energies you need or Energy Search Pro, if John gets 2 back-to-back big knockouts, he could certainly take a dominating position in game 2.
A, Arwen po Defiance Band, żeby znokautować Goldengo, tak. No, wszystko jest Candy, Pidgeot, Candy, Zard. Więc let's go! Musieliśmy mocno przeczekać te tury.
On to Victor thanks to that bonus damage. So we're gonna see a back and forth, but definitely the Victor has
gra
the
4.
initiative here, and as long as he can keep up the KOs, he should have a big advantage.
John, of course, taking stock of the fact, once again, he's only got 3 energy to work with. So this Charizard, if it goes
A tu
down,
widzę na później, chyba będzie grabny Unfirst. Ja się zastanawiam się, czy to nie wygląda tak trochę reklamowo, tylko dodano duchy, bo reklam gra właśnie taką listą czarka bez duchów. Zaskakuje mnie fakt, że ona działa nawet.
As well as the Pheasantipity, no more Pheasantipity, which Victor was very cautious at.
Czy jest ona specyficzna? Tam jeszcze jest tam Devo, tutaj grasz, musisz być drugi w tej wersji. To raczej chyba nie jest ta wersja, która... Tam normalnie jest Rotom. No nie zauważyłem, żeby był Rotom, bo... Poduszka? Ta, poduszka.
John established the Duskull now. Because Victor has this current setup, if Victor ends up taking a knockout next turn on the Charizard and flips tails on Wonder Kiss, then that could set up game for John by
Że patrzę, jakie duchy ma.
into a knockout on any of the
Pan
bench
John.
Pokemon and taking 3 prizes off the Goldengo. So I love this
Czar-
establishment,
powinno się też-
really playing into the late game.
No jeszcze
instead of
oczywiście
going
mamy tu
for
Briar, ale
the
Briar to
very
jest takie
obvious,
na
oh, well,
później.
get Pheasantipity down and
Później.
draw 3 extra cards. Sure, you can do that, but this is saying I want to win this game.
Nie widziałem jeszcze Rotama w tej
Drawing more cards, see
u
what
Johna.
happens after.
Having Radiant Charizard certainly opens up so much flexibility with John to use Quick Search for other cards and not needing to find rare candies and Ultra Balls and Super Rods to keep the knockouts coming. But it's just right back over to Victor. Has the Golden Go now in active spot for
No
coin
jest
bonus to draw 2,
ciężko.
coin bonus on the bench to draw 1
On
more,
by chyba
concealed cards to
chciałby
discard the
zrobić...
found, energy to draw 2 more. We have Ultra Ball maybe for Pheasantipity to dig even deeper, Pablo.
Yup, gonna establish that.
Deeper,
has a
deeper, no.
combine to get extra resources and can go for that Energy Search Pro to get a full burst
A on
of
taką
energies. Look
takiego
at all
feza
those different
gra?
types
Bo ja nie
available,
widziałem.
Adam. That
Already
plus
loading
a
it up.
superior, yeah, that plus a superior energy tree ball could allow Victor to get a return KO right here.
No i wchodzi oczywiście Cyphermaniac. Wybieramy dwie dowolne karty i dajemy na top. Pozostałe oczywiście tasujemy.
This is a little unfortunate, has to shuffle up and is going to immediately go right back in to grab those energies out because he is technically going to be drawing here with Pheasantipity.
It's because of that third card, right? Otherwise, it's those two cards. Does find an energy, which is
no i oczywiście nas Energy Search. No wiecie, niektórzy wątpili w zastosowanie tego jest speka. No jest zastosowanie. No oczywiście. No gdzie indziej niż w Goldengo nie pasuje. To idealnie, co nie? Czasami niektóre specyficzne karty znajdują niszowe zastosowanie.
Just evaluating now the energy, seeing what I want to discard for superior energy retrieval. Victor has Night Stretcher in hand, is going to use that to get the metal energy back potentially. No, just going to discard it for superior.
No troszkę się trzęsą rączki.
Metal, grass, fire, whatever you like.
No to chyba tak Goldengo, serowego księcia znowu zobaczymy, coś czuję w top 3, bo Goldengo to trochę rozprawia z czarkiem. Tak, money! O, Tails. No ale chyba i tak postawi sobie...
But now, if John can piece all of this together and does have a pretty big hand, we could see Briar get played, Dosnor KO, the Greninja that's right here, and then Charge.
Znaczy może być gra na Briar?
Yes. Knockout the Goldengo for 3 prize cards. So step 1 is getting Pheasantipity out.
Znaczy tak, najpierw użyć Briar. Może ważne.
Does need to find Super Odd, Double Rare Candy, Charizard, and Dosnor. That's a lot, Adam.
And John had
to zostaje opcja druga.
already to this Radiant Charizard, thinking he would need to weave this in at some point. But now, with the prior play looming, and this is the only time he'll be able to do it, you have to abandon the Radiant Charizard and go for the win to take this to a Game 3.
Znaczy się uda ten trik.
Super
On ma Rotoma! Tylko go nigdy nie użył. Czyli to jest ta normalna wersja. Po prostu była bez Rotoma. Jestem ciekaw jak wyjdzie Snorlax bez Rotoma.
In the hand, then okay, sure, but like it's so many cards, so many pieces. This Pheasantipity has to be the best Pheasantipity in the history of Pheasantipity.
Let's go, flip the script, change your fate, John. 3
No,
cards
musi
off
coś
the
być.
top. Give me the combo pieces. Boss's orders,
Jest
one rare
candy,
candy.
okej.
So it's gonna be, I'm pretty sure,
To
impossible
jest czark.
to pull off at this point in time. Could still Briar for 3 prize cards. I don't think there's any other way to get more out of this hand, and the issue is like, even if you give up on this, you Iono your opponent, knock out the Goldengo, they still have Pheasantipity and they still have coin bonus, and the 2 cards they're getting, that's at least 7 cards on their top deck. That's 8 cards, right? Iono is a lie.
Yeah, exactly. This is the kind of game state that really frustrated players dealing with Raging Bolt. The ability to draw cards off of Ogre Pawn and Pheasantipity and Professor Sada's Vitality. This disruption idea, trying to get a Hail Mary in the late game, just doesn't work against these big swinging in on you decks. They have so much card draw to back up their game plans and to help close out. Goldengo is certainly the poster child for it. And furthermore, you know, Victor had a couple Pokestops in the prizes. There's no Pokestop to help John Bielik out of this situation either.
No
The
kurde.
original comparison that you were making is very on point, but I have to wonder, like looking at
Czy
this
ma
live,
wędkę na
is
pewno.
Togekiss what could bring Goldengo to a power level above Raging Bolt? Because you don't need to flip heads every single time. Even a single coin flip out of 3 tries that you get could be enough to turn games around. So I think even though we have a
No, nie uda się tej sztuczki zrobić. No, zabrakło.
could really bring Goldengo to a whole new power level.
When it comes to dealing with decks like this that just want to swing in and take prizes, being able to promote single prize Pokemon has been the most consistent and natural way to extend the length of the game. And so Togekiss turning off that capability and keeping the game within the pace that it most excels at. I think you have a very strong read on the future of our metagame, Pablo. And Victor de Velasco, the player that you had picked out to watch, is showing us
chyba
here
widzę, że...
live.
I think John's just gonna commit to a boss KO on something. Could also just be counter catcher. We're not even gonna see an Iono at this point in time. So Victor's hand is not huge, but it's still pretty significant. But like, as John, you can't not attack, right? You have to, and then you have to ask Victor, can you get 7 energies
No,
out
tutaj
of
jeszcze
your
kombinuję,
deck
czy
right now,
użyć
out of your
counter
discount
catchera.
box?
It's going to be a repeat of what we saw last turn, right? Needs the metal energy to attach to the Gholdengo, and then the rest of the energies to come through. Energy Search Pro's already been used. It was only 1 superior energy retrieval used so far.
Yeah, so need to find 2, right? 2 superior energy retrievals is the goal. That can be achieved by Cypher Maniac.
Tak, już
that can be
patrzy.
achieved by
No, czy chyba może jednak nie
power
utrudnimy,
that the deck has.
pozbywając
A single
kolejnych
Night
grow
Stretcher becomes
engine'ów,
2
czyli
cards,
na
and you
przykład
only have
Feza.
2 immediate cards with Gholdengo and 3 immediate cards with Fezandipity. You can even see Victor checking how many Night Stretchers do I have left.
Already licking his lips,
O,
ready
chyba
to
będzie
take this
counter
win,
catcher.
take this 2-0 victory.
No, jak widać,
And
że...
when it comes to Victor as well, this is the
No
perfect
nie,
moment
jednak
where you can just put
knockout.
the Pokestop in play. You aren't going to give your opponent any help to get use out of it, and the draw for turn is just a mana fee.
Does have the boss's orders in hand as well, so that could lead to a much easier
And yeah.
knockout. No help from the Pokestop, but that's still 3 cards closer you are to the actual cards you want.
Buddy pop in,
Retrieval.
canceling
No
Columbus
jest
for energy
retrieval.
retrieval.
Jest jeszcze...
That's it.
I
Gear it up
Rida.
with the other superior energy retrieval, double superior energy retrieval, and you are good to go. That's gonna be...
No i niestety... No i chyba
Unbelievable
nie
Gholdengo,
będzie
especially
Game
in a
3
matchup
niestety,
that's
bo wygrywa
historically been
oczywiście
terrible.
Victor
Suddenly
de
it's flipped right
Velasco
around. Radiant Charizard
2-0.
being a single prizer that can trade up into the Gholdengo. Togekiss
jest,
fixing that
ten.
prize map. The ability for Energy Search Pro to open up some extra slots and the ability to get massive amounts of energy and take this big knockout.
3, 4, 5, 6, 350
Tak,
damage.
no i nie będzie tej
Victor
rundy
to the
trzeciej.
win.
Victor
Carried by
de
Togekiss
Velasco
on the
wygrywa
Togekiss.
2-0.
You can see how happy he
I
is
przechodzi
now,
dalej.
confident
Kurde, no.
feeling that he was able to
John
win
miał
that.
niestety
Without
bardzo
Togekiss,
pechowe
we don't
rozdania,
even
widać.
see Gholdengo up here.
Kurde, no start z Radianta to
I don't know about you,
najgorsza
Pablo,
rzecz
but I never
w
doubted
historii
Gholdengo.
czarki.
I've been a long time believer. Any coinies in the chat, you know.
Tak, Meksykanin
rising
wygrał
up.
2-0.
We knew it all
No i
along.
przechodzi
Togekiss
oczywiście
deck,
dalej.
Unbelievable. Get your Energy Search Pros now, because we're all going to be fighting over them at this
Wygra
point.
I
Gholdengo za
have to
chwilę.
admit, I was not a Gholdengo believer.
znowu
When the
zobaczymy,
card
co
was
robił
first
Księcia.
shown, I liked it, but then it felt like a bad Raging Ball.
To się
but hey,
zobaczy.
here I am. And now let's take a look at the replay of the match. What went down, which felt pretty one-sided towards Victor.
No trzeba przyznać, że no niestety, kurde, Rotoma nie miał przy sobie, kurde, no...
Had to go for Lumion and for a Sealstone
Ajajaj.
Pidgeot EX and get some sort of foothold. And once the prize race begins and players are swinging back and forth, Victor's just naturally going to be favored because of Togekiss getting these extra cards here and there, not afraid to expend a couple energy just to take single prize knockouts, and still turning single prize knockouts into 2 prize knockouts.
Yeah, that extra
No
prize
szczęście.
in game 1, it didn't help in the prize map, but it helped in unlocking the research that Victor needed to close out the game. And then
No.
in game 2, that extra prize card made it for a simple 2-2-2, even though you
And
didn't
just
take a
space.
2 prize knockout on your opponent's Pokemon in the first turn. That bonus prize was so huge and allowed Victor to move on to 9-0-2.
Yeah, John Bielik just ended up in a situation, right, where Radiant Charizard was MIA game 1. It showed up game 2, but just the way the game started to fall into place, Radiant Charizard was never in a great position to take its place in the active spot, and John had to get an insane Fezandipity just to put together a game-winning Briar play, but it did not come through. And finally, Victor
No.
delivers the coup de grace thanks to
No set.
Irida and 2 superior energy
Ale nasze
retrievals
oboje
to knock
mieli
out
po
a big
8
Charizard
wygranych,
EX.
2 remisy.
Irida usually found in water-based decks, just a simple item search, right? Good enough, and even in the early game, gets you Manaphy plus Puffin, gets you Greninja plus Puffin, or any other resource you might need. So here are not the most immediate card you would think to include in non-water based decks, but clearly it has its room when you have such good water type support Pokemon.
And finally, there's another key item to search out with Energy Search Pro. Cypher Maniac also getting you any card that you need, you know, a pseudo quick search indeed. And yeah, Golden Go, it seemed like it would usurp Raging Bolt. Before Fezandipity came out, I think it had that niche of being a little bit more resilient towards disruption, but you can really understand now from that game we just saw, Pablo,
Tak,
that
serowy książę
there's
dostał
really no way to
powera.
throw the deck off its track, it seems. You just have to hope they don't have the Ultra Ball for the next Goldengo, or they don't have that superior energy retrieval when they need to take the revenge knockout.
Yeah, I mean, with LAIC so close to this tournament, I definitely had not put enough time into
No tak,
Goldengo,
jak
but
na razie
seeing it in
zobaczyliśmy
action,
tak
seeing it so dominant.
znowu
Now,
to
I
chyba
will
tylko
say,
ten jeden
both times
serulecz.
John had very underwhelming
Tak.
turn outs, right? It was like he went second each time and Victor went first
Dobrze.
with a supporter, right? Like he lost a full turn because of his underwhelming start. So if he gets a more regular,
Dobra.
where can he Charizard, where can he Pidgeot get the first knockout, maybe we're talking a different game. right?
Absolutely.
But it was still
No,
very
jakby się
impressive
lepiej
for Goldengo
rozłożyło,
and
to
how out of
byłoby
four
trochę
conflicts, you go
inaczej, a tak-
50-50, and that was enough to win you the match.
If you play that matchup over and over
było
again,
torpor,
certainly that Victor might have already done in preparation for this tournament, it might go back and forth, but we can actually hear from him now and see what he thinks truly about the Charizard matchup. Take it away.
Tak?
Thanks, Adam. Watch us on here, and I'm
Okay.
joined by the person who made it rain here at the Sacramento Regional Championship, Victor de Velasco. Woo! How does it feel?
Well, feeling flattered. Like I never actually expected to make it this far, especially after whiffing points at LAIC. I was like, okay, I'm a very well-known control player, but I didn't do well. And coming into a new format, I always feel uncomfortable of playing control on the first tournament. So I was like, better play something new. And I saw the Ace Spec and I saw the Togekiss. I'm gonna give it a try. And then I knew it wasn't like the best deck in the format, but I thought, you know what? Let's just do something funny. Maybe it'll work. And during the ladder, I play on live. It was doing really well, and it's, you know, it's a 50-50. Like sometimes you lose in tournaments because you happen to run into the bad matchups, and I just so happened to not hit a single Aerothorns, a single item lock, or a single Dragapult, which are the ones that I'm the mostly scared of. Or even Regidrago would be a bad one. Actually, Regidrago is horrible because Prime Catcher, Cologne the Manaphy, and kill all my Gimmigles, so that's basically what happens.
That makes so much sense. I like how you're like, oh, the game is 50-50, because in my mind, I immediately just start thinking of your Togekiss.
Yeah, no, there have been games that actually makes a difference. The thing is, I only need one Hats in the entire game. That's all I need. Especially against matches like, for instance, Raging Bull, where they usually go for the Slithering Wings to, you know, the famous trade, and then I can't use the bundle because they have a Greninja there. So all I need is one Heads, and that's all I need. And Charizard is like a gamble because sometimes you don't want that extra prize because of the Defiance ban.
Oh.
But you also need it because they lose control of the ghosts, and that is a huge issue. Especially, another thing is Togepi is only 50 HP, so they can be tempted to do 50 to the Togepi, but what happens? They can't get the numbers for Goldengo, so they can't get a one-shot unless they do like boss, something little and just kill it. So something like that could happen, but yeah, it's a lot of thought process on that one.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like you've definitely put a lot of thought into your deck. Again, you're playing the Togekiss. Can you tell us any fun story? Did you have any cool coin flips in this tournament?
Okay, so let me think about it. Last round, I remember I went against a Raging Bull. I think it was last or previous because the first two rounds, day two, were Raging Bull. So I'm trying to remember which of the two. So there was actually a ruling, and I'm going to share this with you because a judge came up to me and I almost thought, gave me a heart attack. I thought that I was going to get DQ'd or something because
Oh, no.
Because he hit with the Slither Wings with HP. He Prime Catchered the Togekiss. He hit me with Slither Wings and he knocked himself out. But keep in mind, even though the Togekiss is still alive because the burns kills it, I forgot to flip a coin because I was like already taken for granted. Okay, I'm just gonna retreat, I'm gonna boss, and I'm gonna win. But the effect is mandatory. And they told me that also happens with the Roaring Moon. With this one makes sense because the Togekiss gets knocked out on Pokemon Checkup. And so it's still alive by the time the other one is knocked out. And it seems that even if Roaring Moon does the frenzy gouging, it actually does count. So keep that in mind, because you might be thinking, well, I mean, you're the one losing because you're not getting that extra prize, and more prize is better, right? Well, what if that extra prize gets him a Roxanne, a counter catcher, or Charizard makes more damage and actually gets the knockout? So there's a lot of reasons why sometimes you don't want to take that extra prize.
That's a good watch out there. And again, because Togekiss is this new card, it has all these new mechanics. Honestly, I was surprised when I faced it in the ladder and they could Dusknoir knock out the active and flip the coin, right? Very, very, very interesting card. Were there any, again, you mentioned you're a mostly control player. Are there any other decks in your radar you were hoping to play?
Well, I actually like playing the game. I usually just go for control sometimes because I play to win, and sometimes I feel comfortable because what happens is I like decks usually the top tier decks, I like them. Like you can mention Charizard, I like the new Hydreigon, whatever. I like playing everything. But sometimes what happens is either whoever gets the first hit wins, or sometimes whoever doesn't whiff a card wins, or sometimes it's just have bad luck with the matchup. So it's like, why you bother thinking about, okay, this is the best deck, and then all of a sudden you hit every single bad matchup. So it's like, I just learned that go with whatever works for you, as long as it doesn't have a lot of bad matchups, of course. But no, that's rule one. Rule number two is feel comfortable with it, and well, make sure you're getting wins. And when I was playing Goldengo, and since this is a new format, and the only problem I have sometimes is how much time do I have to invest? And I was like, okay, I got used to it, and whatever happens, whatever happens. I only had 1 week to test, and well, less than that because I still got to work and stuff. But yeah, that's the one deck I definitely wanted to do. But Control, the problem was, I was like, should I get the Latias? Is there going to be a lot of Asian box? Is there going to be X, Y? How many Hydreigons with Petron will there be? That's an auto loss. So even if you put a Mimikyu there and he has no way to kill it, then he can just mill you. And so there's really no way. So I thought, okay, you know what? This is the testing tournament. Afterwards, there's a more established meta. And usually Control always is a deck that is literally built, every single card is literally built to counter everything. So if you have no idea what's going to be there, then it's risky. That's my opinion on that. That's my take on that.
I love to hear it. I like how, oh, this is the testing tournament, and you're here maybe en route to possibly winning it.
Yeah, I mean, or sometimes what happens is people sometimes may not respect certain cards because they're like thinking, okay, these are the good ones. Who's ever going to play this? But keep in mind, if I do well in this tournament and maybe other players do well with Goldengo, I'm pretty sure next tournament maybe they're gonna counter everything. So maybe it won't be a good pick, but who knows? Maybe you get as lucky as me and don't hit any island locks. So who am I to judge? But that's why I mentioned, this is the testing tournament. Usually the first tournament of a new format, you never know what's gonna happen. So I think it's a good time to test something crazy sometimes.
I like it. I like it. Definitely bring out the new cards, see what happens to the metagame before we start countering that metagame.
Indeed.
With that, I know you mentioned you're traveling a lot. I think you came from LAIC last week.
Yeah.
You know, how was that?
All that matters is that I'm healthy and I'm here. Enough said. Next question.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. With that, you've given already so much tips. Is there anyone you want to shout out before I do let you go?
Absolutely. Well, probably someone's going to get mad right now because I'm probably going to forget because there's a lot of people. So first off, shout outs to all my buddies in my hometown in Tijuana, Mexico. They're really been a great support every time. My family, of course, my mom's right now watching me. Esta es para ti, ma, te amo, which is Spanish for, this one's for you, Mom, I love you.
Oh, hi, Mom.
Also shout outs to the people from San Diego and the LA area because they're very close friends of mine as well. Shout outs to my current team, Shiny Secrets. Thanks you for the support. And also shout outs to my former team, Brave Birds. I know I decided to leave, but you guys are always in my heart, and I will always be appreciative of what you've done for me. So thank you, all of you guys.
I love to hear it. It sounds like you have so much to support. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching you here right now. So I will let you go to make sure you can prepare for the next round.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see more from the Goldengo.
Hopefully.
Making it rain here in Sacramento.
Yeah, make it rain. Well, don't tell me because I still have to go outside, and rumor has it it's gonna rain. But thanks for the extra shirt. I really needed it to protect myself from colds. Shout out to Pokemon for providing me an extra shirt.
Yeah, those shirts are great, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
With that, we're gonna throw it back to the desk because we have a lot more Pokemon action.
Yeah, Victor's having a lot of fun. He, as you heard, folks, kind of made a big gamble, wants to use this as his testing ground, and it's paying off.
Yeah, definitely paid off so far. 902, that has to be very close to top 8, right? With one round left to go, or might even be guaranteed at this point, I'm not sure. But yeah, Victor clearly having a great weekend after a 1-2 forget, apparently, from LAIC, the past one.
And I love that he touched on that point that you had mentioned during the game itself, Pablo, that you do have to be very tricky and very specific about how you're using the Togekiss and how these extra prizes here and there can affect the way certain cards and certain attacks interact. So very cool that we have this next new volatile effect in the game that are for our players to adapt to.
Now, funny anecdote, I was actually last round, I was walking around in the matches, and I saw that happen. I saw like what he mentioned with the Slitherwing and the self KO and the whole judges involved. I was right there watching it live. Yeah.
And when Pokemon are getting knocked out by Pokemon, by Burn, Pokemon Checkup, it can get pretty hairy, but that's what our judge staff here is for. And just remember, if you ever show up to a regional, even if it's your first regional especially, you know, don't be afraid to call the judge over to clarify any of these weird effects, because with this many people playing this many games of Pokemon, some weird interactions that we haven't seen in quite some time can rear their ugly heads. But another thing that we do have to sort out, Pablo, is, of course, our community choice bracket. We've been kind of trying to figure out what Twitch chat thinks is the most delicious potluck dish for Thanksgiving. And the next round of voting is going to be between Snorlax's stuffing or Machamp's mashed potatoes. And I know you don't know a lot about Thanksgiving. You were talking to Wancho yesterday about it, but I think you can maybe take mashed potatoes.
I am familiar with mashed potatoes. Yeah, no, perhaps not Thanksgiving sprinkled mashed potatoes, but I'm guessing there's not something super special about them.
I don't think that we do special mashed potatoes. As long as you make them good. Some people like them a little bit really smooth, really whipped. Some people like them a little bit chunky. But how do you like your mashed potatoes, Pablo?
I mean, I personally like them creamy. I like creamy mashed potatoes. I'm a big fan of potato itself. I know it's a very important nutrient, and there's many people who advocate the potatoes as superfood. So I like my mashed potatoes.
A little bit of gravy, a little bit of butter, maybe some garlic in there. What are you thinking?
I love that. I love that. Maybe not as much gravy, but butter and garlic, big fan as well.
Yeah, so mashed potatoes, very classic. It's a staple. But when we go over to stuffing, that's where you can really get some pizzazz. Stuffing, depending on where you're from, it's made in a bunch of different ways. So some people will tell you, oh, I don't really like stuffing. That's because you're from the wrong part of the country, my friend. You can just have the classic stuffing, comes in a box, you know, pretty easy breezy, quick to make, and that's why some people love it. But you can really get cool with it. Maybe throw some cranberries in there, maybe throw some walnuts in there. I know that there's a lot of people who love to really slow roast their stuffing. Typically it's inside the turkey, so you get some bonus there, some of the juices and flavors from the turkey. Oh yeah. So stuffing, if you know what you're doing, if you really believe in yourself, it can really go above and beyond mashed potatoes. If you want to play it safe, if you have classic mom's cooking, mashed potatoes might be for you, the classic comfort food, certainly. But it's going to be up to our viewers at home to decide which one of these two amazing dishes advances in the bracket.
I would say the way you just described it, stuffing feels like Goldengo.
Yeah.
And mashed potatoes feels like Charizard, right? Charizard, you know what you're getting, your max consistency, straightforward, whereas Goldengo, just like the stuffing, can be full of surprises.
Yeah, and hopefully our Day 2 meta will also have some surprises for us. I love to see what decks were most popular Day 1 and seeing what converts into Day 2. Goldengo at the top of the rankings, Charizard doing quite well after a pretty decent performance at LAIC, but Regidrago is topping the charts here, Pablo.
Regidrago, as expected, right? Pretty good conversion now. We are seeing Raging Bolt very close by, and it's not Regidrago's favorite matchup. Charizard, pretty good conversion. Lost Box as well. Gardevoir making the chart, and then Goldengo showing up. This might be Goldengo's first show of the graph in Day 2.
I'd have to really go back into the archives for that one, Pablo. I know that it was very popular when it first dropped. Pairing it with Palkia is very classic indeed. And I got to give a shout out to our Lost Zone players, hoping that, you know, with Regidrago having a bigger target on its back from winning LAIC, the Raging Bolts are going to come through to bully it a little bit and open up a path for Lost Zone Box to truly shine with less Kyurem in the metagame. And of course, with Pikachu EX giving it a fun new lease on life.
You have a sort of like interesting triangle where Regidrago beats Lost Box beats Raging Bolt beats Regidrago, right? So then whichever you pick, you're hoping to dodge one and hit the other. And Charizard sort of fits that bill as well. Charizard beats Lost Box, beats Raging Bolt beats Regidrago beats Charizard. So we have that interesting dynamic within the top 4 decks right here.
And long gone are the days where Lost Zone was running Iron Leaves and stuff, trying to also beat up Charizard. The deck has been so underrepresented lately that Lost Zone players haven't really been accounting for it. And that could also throw an interesting angle into this sort of quadrangle of matchups. And then we've got our classic Gardevoir players who are just like, well, I love the deck, trust me, it's good, bro. And they're just going to go in and dodge all the Charizards and just do their very best.
Yeah, they really try to break that triangle or quadrangle that we have going with the top decks. And I think same for Goldingo, right? Goldingo with that Togekiss can definitely make for some interesting price mapping. It used to want to do that with Palkia, right? That's why we see it in the graphic. Palkia was a great partner to Goldingo. You only needed to play a bunch of extra energies in the deck to power up your attack. And they don't need to be specifically metal energies, therefore you can run some water energies and make Greninja a threat so you have a different attacking option to get extra prices. But now, Togekiss does just that.
Okay, Pablo, I'm really excited to report that the chat is split.
No.
The poll came back exactly 50-50.
Exactly 50?
We have the lovers of the Pizzazz, the Golden Go, the Stuffing, Snorlax, Golden Go, and then the Machamp, Charizard, mashed potatoes. We got to flip for it. We have a Lechonk coin here, and I want you to do the honors, my friend. In honor of Golden Go, your new favorite deck.
Whoops. Reflip.
And it's Tails, so it's going to go to me. It is going to be Tails for Stuffing.
Stuffing advances, unfortunately.
It's probably for the best. Golden Go's also advancing,
yeah, that's okay. I'm
carrying
a
on the
Golden Go
spirit of pizzazz. But we know, mashed potato lovers, we love you as well in the chat. It's just a classic dish.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't go wrong with potato.
Exactly, as long as you make it right. But with stuffing, if you take that risk, you go a little bit further beyond, do something a little spicy and off the wall, you could be advancing in the tournament. And I think it's a beautiful way to close out this round of the Sacramento Regionals.
Yeah, definitely. And now I think we're waiting for round 12 to be paired. We have a few extensions on the floor, so we are hoping to get that sorted very soon. But tell me, Adam, yeah, I know clearly you're a Goldingo fan, you were a Dialga fan as well. Like, what brings you to metal-type Pokemon? Like, what is it that they attract you so much?
They tend to just have, like, kind of odd game plans. It seems to be the design focus that they go for in the Pokemon TCG. And unfortunately, you know, the fire weakness pops up from time to time, which is a little frustrating, but it's always a satisfying oddball deck, which I love to play. But when it comes to playing the fun deck versus playing the good deck, there's a reason I'm on the desk and I'm not out here slugging it out with our top players. But we're going to see more top Pokemon action when we get back from this break for our next round here in Sacramento, so don't go anywhere.
All right, I am here with Heidonis, Actual, and Elite, and I've got some awesome questions to get to know them just a little bit better. Heidonis, we'll start with you. Question number 1, what are you most excited for this weekend?
I would say I'm most excited for hanging out with my chill friends this week, so it's going to be a really, really great weekend.
Elite?
Hayden kind of stole my line. I was going to say I'm excited to hang out with my friends. Yeah, I'm ready to have fun this weekend.
Well, we know you're both just a couple of really chill guys, so that's going to go really, really well. If you could be a Pokemon, which one would you be, Heidonis, and why?
If I could be a Pokemon, I would be a Charizard, because I could fly. Yeah.
If I could be a Pokemon, it'd have to be Darumaka. It's just the way it jumps. It really,
show us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you. Look.
All right.
All right, both fire types. I can dig it, though. I can dig it. Question. All right, next question. What is your favorite competitive format of all time? That could be Go Battle League. It could be Play Pokemon. Your favorite meta, if you could call it that. Heidonis, you're up.
I would say Open Great League. So, yeah, play Pokemon.
I'm the exact same. Open Great League, play Pokemon.
Awesome. Next question. What is the coolest Pokemon you have ever caught?
Probably Darumaka.
Shadow?
Shiny.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
What about you?
I'm gonna go different here. I'm gonna say it's Beware. Beware is definitely the coolest Pokemon that I've ever caught.
Beware is super cool. Does have superpower, stomp, and a bunch of other awesome moves. So this is a question for each of you. Hey, Donis, I know that Elite already gave his answer, but if he was a Pokemon, which one would he be?
I mean, Darumaka fits him perfectly. He did the dance pretty well. He did the dance pretty well, I would
You could
say.
say we're one and the same.
Yeah. How you do it? Wait, what would I be then?
After doing that dance, I gotta say you're gonna be a Darumaka too.
Oh, Galarian.
Yeah.
You could be the Galarian.
Because I'm a chill dude, ice.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Okay, Sacramento is the city of trees. So what's your favorite grass-type Pokemon? Elite, we'll start with you.
First one that comes to mind is Rowlet. I think it's just a cute Pokemon.
Maybe like a little bit industrial vibes too, so I would say Ferrothorn.
Ferrothorn, nice. I like the grass and steel typing. Does not like Talonflame, though. Next question is, what would you say to your future self if you win this weekend? Hey, Donis.
I'd finally beat Elite. California King. Yeah.
I would just say good job.
Good job, me. I did it, me.
Yeah, short and sweet.
Okay, fair enough. All right, next question. Would you rather A, win one regional per season, but never hit Legend and go Battle League, or hit Legend every season and go Battle League, but never win a regional?
I'm gonna have to go with option one. I mean, big prizes, so.
I personally care much more about regionals than I do about Go Battle League, so I'm gonna say win a regional every season.
Awesome, good answers. We are in agreement. If you could only attend
Co
one
się z
international
Terapagosem
championship per
nazywało?
season, which one would it be?
I've only been at NAIC, but I'm gonna say EUIC. So.
I was gonna say the exact same. I've been to NAIC as well, but I have a lot of friends in EU, and I'd love to meet them.
What about you?
It would be LAIC, for sure. The crowd is insane. If you haven't been, you really should go. We filmed a whole
A
segment on
twój
it.
Streamlabs kopie za...
It is. But LAIC is the first one. And also
Tak,
sites.
on wysyła te
That's just my opinion. Okay, final question.
linki
Who is
automatycznie.
the best player in the Pokemon Go Championship Series?
I'm gonna say Elite.
Ja został sobie tak, żeby
Should I say
automatycznie
myself?
wysyłało.
No, I'm gonna go with my good friend Lyle Jeff III.
Wcześniej
So
grałem
I'm
to
Felipe
ręcznie.
Mazo, mostly known as Baby Mazo, and I'm from Brazil itself. Oh, it's a lot of fun because finally, after 3 years competing,
Okay,
I get
tak
to
nie
compete in
będę
Brazil and
próbować.
get to know a lot of the Brazilian crowd, which is probably, as many people have seen who have come to the LAIC, the loudest by far in like every region. My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Stadium, but as main series go, my first game was Pokemon Diamond. My favorite Pokemon is Annihilate. I always liked Primeape, now he gets
Wow.
a third evolution, and he's like this brute, ghost, angry, fighter. So awesome, I always liked fighting types. I'm one of those guys. The furthest, it's probably Japan. Like Hawaii is very far as well, but from Brazil, I guess Japan is the furthest we've gone. Looking forward to going again as well. Highest I've ever placed, like in a Brazilian tournament
he's
setting,
already
like
pro.
regionals, Ace Cup, I've won 12 times. But as far as worlds go, 5th was our best placement. Someone I really look up to in the community is Inder. Actually, he's kind of retired now, but somewhat plays sometimes. Doesn't always play. But feels really good to have someone that
A,
is walking this journey
Pokémon
with me.
United, bo
Feels
sobie jeszcze tu nie
really,
jest
really hard to
Pokémon
make. Being
United.
a pro
To nie
player,
można robić
being a streamer, being a YouTuber, and seeing someone else doing it
streamów podczas
just the way I'm doing it is also quite a motivator to keep on doing it.
retweetów,
My
podczas
favorite moves to win an
meczów.
event are always the prize in the event. I'd say my favorite hobby right now is still playing other games that are still somewhat competitive.
Nie wiem. A, ale jeśli chodzi o podczas meczu ogólnie, to jeden na turę. Są jeszcze oczywiście karty switchujące, jak podstawowy switch. Ale ogólnie, no retreatów można robić tylko raz. Słyszałem, że trzeba podpiąć, nie. To zależy jaki jest koszt retreatu. Bo niektóre Pokemony nie mają tego kosztu. No a jeszcze się pojawił taki Latios EX, który właśnie eliminuje koszt retreatu Pokemonom basicowym.
Lots of win-and-ins gonna be played. Lots of people figuring out if they want to intentionally draw with their opponents or if they want to play it out to get a higher seed to potentially avoid playing the asymmetrical top card that we might have.
there was, you know, an era of you've always got to play it out, you've got to take smart IDs. We've had very dominant players in the past take the intentional draw to allow their opponent into top 8, and they're going to take their good matchup later on, hopefully. So there's a little bit of mind games there. Some of our seasoned veterans always have to ask themselves the questions, and we know we have some hardcore players as well that are going to try to fight for as many match points as they can get, no matter what the situation is.
And I do believe we have
Nie
our
mogłaś mnie nadepnąć.
standings to take a look at, right? See how our players are looking, see where they're at, and how
Tak,
they're
Lugia też spadła z stronu.
Yeah, with the Swiss rounds almost
No, o, London Cutter to jest ten, co już widzisz był na ostatnim, to jest
Miraidon.
Miraidon. John Eng nie wiem co gra, ale pewnie podejrzewam, że Reggie Kutafon. Torison to wiemy, że Kutafon, Hendrix wiemy, że Kutafon. Wiktor de Velasco to już widzieliśmy Goldego.
Miraidon, all the way at the top we have John Eng, of course. Very
Reszta
good
nie
player that
wiemy.
always tends to do well. We have Grant Manley as well, who is apparently
Grant,
gonna be our winner
Malry,
today,
to
according
Reggie
to him.
Kutafon.
So we'll see if that actually happens, right?
Yeah, he's setting it up to just run through the asymmetrical cut. He wants to extend this tournament as much as possible, and we've got to give a shout out to
Reklew
the
jeszcze jest na
dynamic
turnieju,
Australian
albo
duo, right?
Kotti.
Wait,
to
where
jest-
is he? Where is he?
Znaczy,
I see
czasami
Ryan
się
Robinson.
Reklew
Wait, Henry
pojawia.
Sundi was going to be on here.
Tam, raczej europejskich graczy nie ma za dużo na amerykańskich turniejach. Raczej nie wiem, czy jest, musiałbym sprawdzić dokładnie. To trzeba by zobaczyć. Ale czasami się pojawia.
Ryan Antonucci, a name we see
Jestem
constantly
ciekaw.
on these graphics as a player to watch, is always going to be hooking us up with the sauce too. I can't wait to see him perform.
Tam są głównie
Yeah,
amerykańscy
very nice mix of,
gracze.
like, well-known players who we know are
Nam
consistent
Amerykanie
performers,
też czasami do
and
nas
perhaps
przyjeżdżają,
some
choć
breakout
w Gdańsku
names,
było
right?
ich tylko
Michael,
17.
Seal has, Samuel, Kenneth
Ah,
Gilman, James Sims, I don't personally know them. They might have had good results before, but it's always nice to see unfamiliar with familiar names mixed in at the very top.
That's what we always hope for here at the regional championships. Even though the competition is fierce, you're only one breakout performance from really putting your name out there and getting yourself on the radar of our competitive community so they can start looking to you for some tips and tricks and maybe some deck choices as we continue on past these rankings and maybe get into some
Będziemy
other
oglądali
matches
na
that are
ten
going
moment
on
właśnie
this
matchup
round.
Kenneta
I think that's,
Gilmana
we
i
can
Michaela
really see
Kaleki.
as we close out the Swiss
Kalisa.
round, this type of matches, the really big names.
Jeszcze opcja
going
Grand
toe-to-toe.
Marley z Noanem Skydarem, Aizen Williams z Ren Antolucci, Grant Shin z Haruki Migą, więc my tu mamy ten matchup ten
the same 60 card Reggie Drago V-Star deck list facing off against each other in a mirror match with
Ufne, że to
and
będzie
Grant,
Reggie Drago,
and
to
Grant
już...
and the double Grant
To już
team
można skakać.
pushing it all the way to the top. But of course we have our featured match for today. For this last round will be Kenneth against Michael.
Kenneth versus Michael. This is going to be great. You know, just some names that I'm not personally familiar with, but they're playing some interesting decks. We're still getting them tracked down, getting them in position, getting them prepared to play on stream for our audience at home. But I'm so excited for them to get down to business. We aren't going to talk specifically about the deck lists, but we can see on our side kind of what the archetype is going to be. Once we get the players sat down with their headsets, we're really going to head off to the races, Pablo. I can't wait to see what we've got in store.
I am very excited, but now we're going to see a little bit of the crowd.
A nie, że już będzie recenzja next. No, a w końcu jest. To jest Sacramento, ale już ten event nie jest. Kurde, no jakby trzeba... tournament sparring stuff.
The way that the rankings and the
O,
point
widzę,
requirements have
że
shifted
na
for this
ten
tournament
kartę
based
z
on how many
Johnem
hits
Engem
we've had,
zrealizowali.
etc. We've got a lot of players who
się
made day
stanęło?
2, and you know that incentivizes
może-
their friends to come into the venue on
Coś
Sunday,
masz świst
hang out a
12.
little bit more, play in some of our side events, play in the free play lounge, maybe get in on some old school Pokemon games. They always have the Nintendo 64s set up with, you know, Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Stadium, and it's always a blast to see, especially a lot of the juniors and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just kind of playing and practicing or showing off their binders, and You can see it's still very lively, even to the point where I couldn't even get an interview. The crowd was swarming in. It's really overwhelming sometimes. But if you are intimidated by big crowds, you don't have to worry. We have some quiet corners for you as well, where you can sit and relax and just chill with your friends.
Yeah, there's a quiet room available for anyone that needs it. And
No,
as you
też
mentioned,
się
the
cieszę.
kids getting excited about their retro gaming area is always really cool to see, because those games are probably older than the kids playing.
Oh, I know, right? I'm so old, Pablo.
I know. But yeah, the prize wall as well. I don't know if you got to see what they had out
Sprawdziłam
there. Like they have plushes
nie
that
ma
I've never
żadnego
seen before,
Europejczyka.
looking really,
Ciekawe,
really
Eric
cool.
Yeah, the
Holmapa.
prize walls, they kind of get, you know, pick of the litter. They can really dig deep for
jest
some
niekorzyść?
exclusive items. And if you've never taken the time to play in these side events or see what the prizes are on offer,
Larden,
definitely have
Keter
a
i
look
John
over there. Just playing in
egzybitowali.
the side event itself is pretty fun. Some of them will even kind of
To
provide you
jest-
with the cards or resources, whatever you need to participate, as long as you're ready and willing. And so that's always a blast, especially if you
Kamil,
want to
da.
maybe try a
Brzmi polsko.
different game. Like if you're in TCG and you want to give a VG side event a try,
A za jaki fragment
they'll have
blokują
an
ci
extra
jakieś
potentially
zasięgi?
Nintendo Switch
A, no
reviews
potem
and
była
vice
ta
versa.
Aurora, żeby jej
Yeah,
przybliżyć
there's plenty of,
postać
like
i
we
no
want you to play
niestety
Pokemon, right? So
i ten fragment no niestety no przypadł na Polskę,
Like, if you
przez
haven't
co
never
goście
made
z
it out to
Metalurgii
regional
narzekali,
before,
że
I
kilka
definitely
sekund
recommend you do
wystarczy.
it. You're in for a very good time.
No,
You never
faktycznie
know,
to
like,
jest
if a
niestety
game is
prawda,
really
bo
gonna
czasami
capture you until you try it.
boty
I
są
remember
dosyć
actually one of
wrażliwe
my
na
first,
tyle, że
VG matches. I was playing in the Pokemon
no
Play
wystarczy
Lab,
właśnie
right? So I
kilka
had the professors
sekund,
there, they were able to break it
nawet
down, had the
jeśli
whole setup with the rental teams.
jest
I
to
was
tylko
ready to go.
fragment,
My opponent clicked Blizzard,
to
and
zostaniesz
both my Pokemon got
ściągnięty.
frozen,
Oh my.
and so I knew that,
Więc
that
no
VG
boty
wasn't
są
for
tutaj
me.
wrażliwe.
It's like how
No ja już
you
raz
have to be
próbowałam
chosen
przy
by
Wikema z
Lugia
Romansie.
sometimes to play that deck. I know that VG
się nie
was
udało,
not gonna be the
odrzucono
game
mi
for me after I got
sprzeciw.
that double freeze. I took it as a sign. I could take a hint.
Was there at least hail set up for that Blizzard?
No,
or
it was
No
just
tam było
raw. I got
przybliżenie, po
double
prostu
frozen,
fragment przybliżenie
and I think
Aurory,
I used, like,
która tam występuje.
a fire move or something to get out of the
Żeby
the
potem z
freeze. I don't know
Zibepę
if I
to też
naturally
przybliża.
unfroze after one turn, but it was rough. It was rough. I got cooked. I can't sugarcoat it, Pablo.
Getting double frozen that way, Adam, is like the equivalent to pricing like 4 Kirlia in your Gardevoir deck. Like not even 3. You priced all 4 in that game. Is the VG
Aczkolwiek głównie to jest na Rosję tak nałożone.
With no hail setup.
And of
Więc
course,
przy pozostałych
our
fragmentach
audience
nie jest to taki
share
problem.
their stories.
Jeśli
It's
gorzej jak
how
będzie
you got
zablokowane w
massively
Polsce, to trzeba coś
unlucky.
niestety
You know, oh, I
zrobić.
prized this, I top decked that. My opponent happened to have the perfect card they needed at just the right time. Iono to 1. You said it earlier, Pablo. Iono's a lie. We all know it.
Yeah, I mean, you Iono your opponent, and they go coin bonus, flip the script, and all of a sudden they have an 8-card hand. They have more cards than they would have normally. So, yeah, Iono definitely. When it came out, it was a super powerful card. But I feel like the newer cards, especially Serendipity, it really
Zremisował,
like,
to już jest piękne.
neutralized Iono's strength in a way. Like Serendipity
Przecież
is not
London
perfect,
Keter i
right?
John
It's three
Eng póki
random
co
cards,
mają
but
zagwarantowane
by the
top
time
8.
you're using it in the late game, your deck's probably pretty thin. So one card when you have 12 left, that's a pretty significant percentage of your deck left.
And this is not even saying that you can draw into
Ogólnie
cards
graczy w
of
Sacramento
cards, and that
jest
chain
ma
reaction
Mastersów
of cards in the Pokemon TCG
2079
is what really keeps players in the
się
game. You
zgłosiło.
think you might be down and out, and the game can completely, indeed, the script can be flipped with just 1, 2,
Literally.
3 draws.
Ogólnie.
Yeah, so many of these games are like about tempo, right? And whoever goes first has a big advantage, but then games are going by so fast and the format is so aggressive
Znaczy,
that
rzadko
if you
chyba,
don't have
kiedy tutaj
extremely
ktoś z
powerful
Europy
and broken
przyjeżdża.
turns every single time, you can tend to fall behind, right? You miss one beat, and that's all it takes for a game that you were in the driver's seat to be completely shifted.
And it's really the best players, I think, that can adapt in that situation. Not only are they sequencing and minimizing the chances of that occurring,
Dużo częściej to raczej jest tak, że to amerykańscy gracze przyjeżdżają do nas niż my do nich.
etc., to make it difficult for my opponent to do their game plan. And you know, even with all this top decking and the Serendipity and stuff, sometimes you just get unlucky with the prizes. So it still makes it so that games don't always end up the way that we expect them to, especially when you consider the matchup spreads of a lot of these decks when you're evaluating the metagame. If you go in and you play your heart out, you can make miracles happen.
Yeah, for sure. And there's something we've talked about a lot, that you can learn the lines of your deck and you can have a game plan against something every matchup. But if something goes off plan, right, then you need to adapt and improvise on the spot. And if you're not practicing that just as much, if not more, than the usual lines of I want to turn 1 do this, turn 2 do this other thing, something doesn't happen that allows you to do that, then you need to adapt and improvise, and that's what the pro players excel at.
I know that you are a huge advocate for that, Pablo. The improvisation, it's sort of a lost art, right? It's an unsung attribute for our top players, and maybe we'll see a little bit of that this weekend. I'm happy to report, certainly, that the stage is now ready. Our match that we're featuring for the final round of Swiss is ready to get underway. We've got our players down there, so we're going to head over there right now.
Już
We've got Kenneth Gilman
Raging Bolt kontra Miraidon.
Michael Kalias on Raging Bolt EX.
Chyba nie.
Matchup we saw
Ludzie się
yesterday.
przejadli Raging Dragon. Ale chyba to już było na innym matchupie, tylko tyle, że mamy innych graczy. Mamy Kenneta Gilmana i Michaela Kalisa. Tak, czyli mamy Bolta versus Miraidona, czyli deki, które raczej lubią iść drugie, w szczególności jak mówimy o Bolcie. No, warto zaznaczyć, że to są te buildy, które oczywiście biorą prizy na zasadzie 2-2-2. Chyba ten Celura, czy coś taki, nie taki dobry, jest bardziej przehypowany niż wiadomo, znaczy mógł być konkurencją dla Bolta, biorąc pod uwagę jego prostotę. A tak, Miraidon wrócił. Dobra, też trzeba go składać.
If you don't need to bench a squawk ability, if maybe you only need to put down 1 teal mask, if you're constantly in the lead and you don't need to bench Vezendipity, it makes it difficult for Kenneth to even find an angle to get into the game. He's going to be leaning into the area 0 under depths to boost Raiko's damage. There's only a 1-1 Magneton line in here to help with Pikachu to maybe get some knockouts too. Hang on a second, let me look.
Nie wiem, czy ja sprzedałem tego Raichu fulartowego, taki fajny.
Yeah, that pure lightning approach. So the Magneton will be utilized to get that extra burst of energy, right? That way you're not riding the roller coaster that is Electric Generator for the whole game. You actually get to have some reliability. And since you don't play any other single prize Pokemon, then that means even if you use its ability, give your opponent a prize card, there's no hindrance to that because they still need to knock out 3 of your rule box Pokemon. So that's the main use for
Ja go zniosłam.
pretty good, and it's a big upgrade for Miraidon. Same as we saw for Goldengo with Togekiss and Energy Surge Pro. Miraidon is here at the top, and it's relevant once again thanks to Magneton.
And with the multitude of attackers that this deck is known for, with some extra utility thanks to the Raikou V, of course, this deck is running
Niektórzy mogą mieć, no jednak, katarek.
You can find those cards when you need to, because when you're playing a matchup like this, as you said,
Aha, znowu w bingo mamy Prime Catcher w prizach. Tutaj Raikou jest, Lineon, Boss, 2 energie, Nesball, tutaj jedna ssada po drugiej stronie i jeszcze Prime Catcher i Poke Catcher. I Earthed Vessel z Ogerponem i jedną elektryczną.
Against a Bravery Charm, Raging Bolt or just 4 energy discard to get that potential last KO, so that could be a little problematic, and then any amount of lightning energies and prizes reduce the chances of Electric Generator hitting something interesting.
Już mamy już dość olbrzymi. O, Latias! I to jeszcze ten bardzo ładny Archie, na którego połowa ludzi pouluje.
Illustration rare in the, man, he's flexing, Pablo. That's the intimidation factor you need. Opens with Nest Ball. He's going to look through the deck and evaluate the situation. Now, Latias EX's Skyliner ability means that your basic Pokemon don't have retreat cost, so it's going to be much easier to pivot around.
No cóż, jest to pierwszy buff, jaki dostaje oczywiście Miraidon, jest to oczywiście Latias, który pozwala oczywiście... Co ciekawe, Pikachu ma już zwykłe akcje.
rescue board, and then who do I promote because the electric generator only
Rajku.
powers up to the bench, and you always needed a pivot available to you, and that usually was Mew EX, which is a frail Pokemon, and Latias is not super sturdier or much sturdier than Mew, but it provides retreat to every single one of your Pokemon except Magneton in this.
Oj, też
And
wiem,
with the
że
first
boxy.
Rhydon hitting the bench with Tandem
A, i
Unit,
widzę, że też
finds
jest
Raikou
i
and
Rotom.
Magnemite, and then another bench of Rotom V.
Ciekawe.
Running Rotom in
O, jest
Rhydon,
Secret
a
Box,
deck
to już
that
jest
we
base
know
i nie ma
likes
żadnej
to be
energii.
pretty aggressive, but if you get off to a slower start, or if you're playing against a slower deck, the instant charge giving you some extra cards could be coming in handy.
Ma widać, że
Big whiff there on the first electric generator.
Chyba też
of
mi
the
Raydoną
series
też
with
całkiem...
3 energy in hand and 2 in
Ale
prizes.
mamy Rotoma,
Only
co mnie tu
10
trochę
left in the
zaskakuje.
deck, which still a pretty good amount,
Czyli
right?
Rotom
But
ma też
electric
atak, który
generator
polega
is
na
not
tym, że on
perfect, and
chyba...
see the retreat into the Magnemite. Kenneth recognizing the fact that
Bardzo
Raging Bolt
specyficzny
is a
deck, muszę
super
przyznać.
aggressive deck, and if they only take one prize card, that's fine, right? They still need to take 2 more, but you will not get the benefit of Magneton's abilities. So Michael,
No tu mamy
already,
jeszcze Bolta ze
depending on
znaczkiem.
what he's able to do, could have a slight advantage by denying the Magneton resource, even if they don't take a 2-prize knockout this turn.
Yeah, just a lot of respect there. Not going to promote the Raikou just to get one extra card off of Fleet-Footed and, you know, give them an easier knockout. Michael with Raging Bolt in the active makes things easier to take this swing. Earthen Vessel discarding a Fighting Energy to get a Fighting and a Lightning. You need to get energy in the discard pile for your Professor Sada's Vitality. This is going to be a second
Trzeba ma
Earthen
3 sady w
Vessel,
deku.
just thinning all of this energy out of the deck.
No jeżeli
Get
tak
it
idzie
into
taki
the
film.
discard pile for your Professor Sada's, and hopefully
Czemu
some
ona jest
grass
bola?
energy can be found here, and maybe a way to grab Ogre Pawn.
I haven't been able to take a look at Michael's hand, but all this deck thinning, as you mentioned, very, very key. We could be seeing some tracking shoes or something along those lines.
Manę
We
z
see a
bola.
Poke here, so
No
thinning
mają,
for
no
that
ale
Poke here to
czasy.
maximize the chances of hitting Professor Sada. There is one prize, right? And we do have a Nest Ball hitting the board as well. Now, this Nest Ball could find Squawk ability, could find Overpower.
A, można
So
też
you
i
are
tak.
increasing your chances of finding the Sada off of playing this Nest Ball, but I kind of would have liked to see you hold on to that Nest Ball, because if you whiff, right, then sure, you go for Squawk and you draw 6 new cards.
co,
But
on
if
ma-
you hit the Sada,
Chwila,
you
chwila,
might end
chwila.
up drawing into too
Szansy
many useful resources that
robić
you might not
Squawka?
end up using Squawk and Seas first, but
Nie, mi się
not even gonna
wydawało,
try the
że
poke
czy miał
here.
for...
Alright.
Nie,
Big Squawk and Seas
spokojnie,
gets rid
moja
of the
widzi
grass
się.
energy as well, so if the Ogre Pawn is found
Znaczy
here,
ciekawe
it will look
zagranie
detrimental.
tutaj ten
I think
Rotom. Ja
Michael
też wiem, że
recognizes, I'm
Rotom
just
też nie
filling
może
all
atakować,
of
on
my
tak,
energy into the
że
discard
musi
pile, thinning it
rozzonować
all out.
pulę.
I want to get a big Professor Sada's here and just start taking knockouts. He recognizes that it is a little bit awkward for Kenneth's setup, and now is my time to
No,
begin.
przyjemny ten
Okay,
setup,
stop
co
now,
nie?
enters
Wywalił
play.
sobie, ale
Sets
zaraz,
another
on ma
Nest
chyba w ręku
Ball.
Retrivala, czyli jednym z ważnych
For Raging
kart.
Bolt, get the double attach with Professor Sada to keep the momentum going. I remember back in the day, right, Pablo, where if you only attached one energy with Professor Sada, it was considered a mortal sin. Oh, you're so far behind. But now a lot of Raging Bolt players don't mind because they want the 3 cards more than the energy attachment sometimes.
Yeah, it's all about taking knockouts, right? And doing whatever it takes. If you can only afford 1 energy, but that gets you a knockout and advances your win condition.
No i
that's
czy
gonna
jest
be good.
Ogerpon?
Now we do see the Greninja
No
drawing a
są
couple
buty,
more
jest
cards.
Catcher.
Finding a catcher, not super useful. Finding trekking shoes, so taking a look at 2 more
No chyba
cards.
weźmie, bo nie
That
chcesz
was
tak
that a
szybko
Professor Sada?
skończyć.
No, it was a Bravery Charm.
There's 1 Bravery Charm in the list. I think, how many Bravery Charm is he on?
3
Bravery
Bravery
Charm.
Charm.
It's 1 Bravery Charm in Kenneth's list. I
Yeah.
see. So 3 Bravery Charm. Again, just recognizing that it is difficult for a Miraidon to swing up into these bigger HP numbers, and keeping the Bravery Charms great here. Still has access to the Pokestop. Looking to see a little bit more in the deck. Still no
Bolt.
energy in play. Raging Bolt
Switchka.
down, Switch card,
I
and a
Bolt!
third
2
Raging Bolt
bolty
down.
poszły. Oj,
Roll down. That
2 bolty.
could be rough, right? We do have some nice stretchers, but they're not infinite, and you do need at least 2 to go with your ideal field to maximize the Professor Sada you talked about. Now, Slitherwing is very key in this matchup. All of the Kenneth's relevant attackers are weak to fighting, and so Slitherwing can be that perfect 2-for-1 price trade-off, but looks like a very underwhelming turn. We're just
Ty,
gonna
no to jednak Slytherin jednak lepszy, co?
Yeah, energy retrieval to get those energies back. There is an Ultra Ball in hand, maybe
A no,
discarding
potem
a
trzeba
couple more
kolejną
resources.
kidać.
Gonna put that energy, the grass energy back into the discard pile. It looks like Michael wants to navigate, again, this matchup as closely as possible with as few Ogre Pawns as possible. You need them as a source to keep energy in play to power up your Bellowing Thunder, but again, each utility Pokemon, the Squawk ability, the Squawk ability, the Ogre Pawn, these are all liabilities that Kenneth wants to start beating down on, easier targets to take prizes from.
No dobra, mamy
And you
Pokéka
can't protect all of them.
Attacz i
Like,
chyba
you
będzie
can't protect
używany
all of them,
ten
rather,
czar.
right? And the Squawk ability being weak to lightning, like you can already know that one's gonna go down, but the others you definitely want to be careful with. Now, I'm not a big fan of this Bravery Charm onto the Raging Bolt. Like that's
and
naturally...
because he had
No
discarded
tak.
the grass energy to the Ultra Ball instead of using it to also attach and Teal Dance, missing a little bit of draw
No,
there.
czasami mam...
that Bravery Charm, if it's attached to the Ogre Pawn, then it's protected, right? But if it's attached to the Raging Bolt, it's a little redundant because no Pokemon right now, at least, can hit.
O,
Pokemon
chyba
for
będzie
damage.
po
Maybe being
kolejnego
extra cautious in case
Miraidona
there's a
czy
double
Pikachu?
Zapdos
A
play,
nie, po
perhaps.
Yeah, Michael
Pikachu.
might be wanting this Raging Bolt to just tank a couple hits, hold down
Tak,
the
no bo
fort,
on ma
buy some
Andepsa.
time, and
O
maybe
ja,
prep
no
for
to jest ten...
Slitherwing. Kenneth
Kurwa, on ma
finally going to get
Arta
the
za
Pikachu EX in play. This gives him
Że
access
taki
to
zwykły,
the
a to
Area
jest...
Zero under depths because this is
Kurde,
a
najśmieszniejsze
Terra
jest to, że to
Pokemon.
jest ten Pikachu
We'll see
warty
how-
ponad 1000 dolców, na którego pół ludzi poluje i przez to też nie ma boosterów w sklepach.
Some players want to try to use Topaz Bolt is just using this purely for the extra bench to boost Raiko's damage, to give you tons of utility with tandem
No,
units.
Greninja.
There's the Area Zero, which will make Raikou V a much more bigger threat. I guess the Bravery Charm does put
Yes,
the Raging Bolt
Arwen.
out of range of that Lightning Rondo, so now it's making a lot more sense.
co
Clearly
można
Raikou,
zrobić?
a lot more versed in this matchup than I am.
When you see the Raikou V with one energy attached, Michael probably just recognizes that if Raikou is forced to swing in and doesn't take the knockout, it doesn't matter if my Pokemon is damaged, because if I swing right back in and I take the knockout, the
On ma
game is still
chyba
going to be
jeszcze
in my favor.
Hensa.
So does have that boss's orders, doing the counts just to make sure he has knockout, probably on this Ogre Pawn right here.
And
No,
now
to jest
Kenneth,
chyba
if I'm recalling correctly, had
ciężkie.
one boss's orders in the prizes and is running
On już
3 copies
widać,
of
że
this
Kenneth
ride on
już
deck.
tam coś podlicza. No, boss order, no tym bardziej, że Raichu już pokazał już wcześniej, że... A Fleet Foot.
Draw another energy, not something you want to see when you still have
No i knockout.
generators yet to play.
And a beautiful knockout going over to Kenneth. First 2 prize cards of the game taken. Michael now
No,
has
mamy
to
jeszcze
bench
jednego
another
Ogre-Pona i w
Ogre-Pon.
końcu
He would love
mamy
to not put these
Sadę.
low HP Pokemon in play, but they are required to draw cards and keep additional energy that you can discard for the Bellowing Thunder.
And now you can expect your opponent to whiff, like you know they whiffed the Sada last turn, right? But now they have a fresh new hand of 6 cards. You have to assume they're gonna be able to return to
No.
Raikou. And Kenneth has no energy in play and does have that Forest Seal Stone in hand, which could have been used to get the Magneton and guarantee that no matter
Zresztą
what
może
gets
podpiąć
KO'd,
pod
you
to.
have a way to re-power up and continue applying pressure. But if the Raikou goes down, there's no Forest Seal Stone.
A to
card
zaznaczy, że
available.
ten
Oh, no, never mind. The
Magneton
Rotom is available.
to
Never
też jest taki
And
price
there we go, because
manipulator.
you don't want to get tunnel vision about just taking these knockouts. You have to also prep your board for your subsequent turns. Michael uses the Night Stretcher to get Raging Bolt back, benches Vezendipity, uses Flip the Script to draw 3 cards. This is also important to note, right? Because those Raging Bolts were sent to the discard pile of Pokestop, Michael has to use Night Stretchers to get attackers back
No,
rather than
budki.
using it for energy.
Co tam
Another Tracking
butach?
Shoes comes
Kolejne
through, has
nosze
to keep his
i
second
chyba
Night
będzie
Stretcher.
Sada.
Especially if he intends to use Slitherwing multiple times, that Night Stretcher, the last Night Stretcher, could be important. Now, a cool thing to note is that Michael does get the benefit of the Area Zero right now, thanks to that Ogre Pawn, as we see the Nest Ball be played to extend that bench. And then if he removes the Area Zero, he would be forced to discard Pokemon, and that could mean the Squawk ability is no longer a liability on the bench. But choosing to fail the Nest Ball, is the Slitherwing already in hand?
Goes for Professor Sada's Vitality. Maybe just not recognizing that the Ogre Pawn does give Michael access to the Area Zero's increased bench. That's going to be 1 attached to the active Raging Bolt and 1 onto the bench. And
No i
drawing
mamy
3
buty,
more.
Sada,
Professor
Oregata,
Sada's for
Ogre.
next turn, plus a Trekking Shoes to thin and look a little bit deeper.
No i Tildens.
Get a few extra cards with Steel Lens, and now Raging Bolt running on all engines, right? pretty good to see here. We're going to see another Sada for next turn, and it's pretty good to have all these cards in hand because Miraidon is definitely not known for its hand disruption.
So there's the attach for turn onto the bench Raging Bolt. We've got both attackers ready to go. Just a matter of deciding which energies are going to be discarded to knock out this Raikou.
No, potrzebuję 3.
3 energies, of course, at 210 to take that knockout. And it's important to note that Kenneth has to scale the mountain of Bravery Charm Raging Bolt, 290 HP with Raichu V in the prizes, his next big hitter.
Now I love that this fighting energy is heading into a discard pile instead of the lightning. That opens up the possibility to use Slitherwing next turn off of the Professor Sada. But all the initiative is on Kenneth. If Kenneth can just get 2 more KOs on these, all of these fragile 2-price Pokemon, then he's gonna be in for a good time, right? And can win in 2 turns. But it's all about that Magneton powering up and then the follow-up electric generators.
Yeah, then remember folks, one boss's orders was already used. There's Luminion V and the second boss in the prizes, so getting the final knockout could be pretty tricky for Kenneth. Once he gets this next 2-turn knockout, we'll have Raichu V,
ale tego Pikachu to by się przydało użyć w tym matchupie, biorąc pod uwagę, że on jest...
because the A-Spec is Secret Box in this case and not Prime Catcher, which has been the trend in Miraidon decks. Of course, there's so many good A-Specs that it's really hard to pick just one for your deck.
Double Turbo Energy we see in the hand. Maybe he's thinking about Iron Hands to maybe knock out a Radiant Greninja. Could be an alternate line, but just going to get rid of that for now with Ultra Ball. Needs to find
Magneton. No to...
Here comes the Magneton off of that.
No, Magneton troszkę namiesza w prizach.
Onto board, which you really need. And can Forest Seal Stone for the follow-up boss's orders to take down Ogerpon or take down something else. But the question is, how do you finish this game? And you do have
no, polaj mi poczytać. No się nokautuje. Dostaniesz prize'a za chwilę.
However, that Bravery Charm in the active, which I questioned in the beginning, could prove to be Michael's saving grace here.
Having a wall to hide behind is something that we kind of underestimate in Pokemon because there's so many gusting effects, but it's really paying off here because Kenneth needs to use his setup and his search effects to attach energy rather than searching for these reactive cards. So now Magneton's finally in the active spot, ready to knock itself out and use that Overvolt Discharge. Tandem unit being used on Miraidon EX to get even more Pokemon on the bench. A second Raikou V is grabbed. And I love the fact that he's running 2 Raikou V and Rotom V to guarantee necessarily I'm going to have a Forest Seal Stone user, and I'll be able to find that A-Spec, the boss's orders, the electric generator, whatever I need.
Now we're going to draw a couple extra cards. Kenneth really trying to find
no jest jeszcze oczywiście Mew. Co ciekawe jest Irida w elektrycznym deku. Ale chyba jest tylko po do wyszukiwania Greninja i to się kończy.
As I'm not seeing a lost vacuum in the list to remove that Bravery Charm.
Forest Seal Stone, however, will be attached to Rotom V. And is it going to be the knockout? I know there's tons of energy in the discard pile. Just thinking a little bit, right? Before you commit to knocking out one of your Pokemon, you're going to make sure that those energies are going exactly where you need them to go.
Does Raikou do enough damage to knock out the
Tak poświęcamy Magnetona.
With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
and Michael picks up the Prime Catcher off of the prizes thanks to Magneton's ability.
Yeah, pretty useful. Yeah, looks like it's gonna be Raikou. Maybe we don't need to pause.
No, tutaj chyba widzę przygotowanie Hensa?
I don't think it would be enough.
Let's let me take the calc here, right? It's 20 base, and then 20 per bench. So that's 220, 240, 260 right now.
Yeah, which is 4 off, even if Kenneth benches another Pokemon, and that would not be.
Kurde, no sam energię dobiera.
We're gonna see the Nest Ball as well. Yeah, he might be just a little off.
And that's so unfortunate because there's nothing that you can attack into the Raging Bolt with that's going to be able to survive
Faustar i chyba gra Vacuum Attack.
So it's going to be Forest Seal Stone. Kenneth is kind of forced to find the boss's orders and take an easier target.
O, czyli nie za... A nie, w tej liście Kenneta gra z tego grany odkurzacz.
In the prizes, there's no Iron Bundle in the list. Oh, there is an Iron Bundle actually. Iron Bundle could be the way you actually walk away with this one. Michael needs to attach a Bravery Charm to this Raging Bolt specifically in order to protect from that. That way the Iron Bundle would be irrelevant at that point.
Yeah,
Znaczy
hopefully
jest na
Michael
tyle, żeby
foresees this. He's
knockout.
already shown us that he loves the... Oh, and Kenneth,
That works.
what a smart... Okay, so he's actually going to go after this Raging Bolt. Doesn't want it to be not just the next attacker to take position in the active spot, but this is going to be something that if it were to get a a Bravery Charm on it, would have way too much HP to deal with cleanly. Takes that knockout and is going to try to get around this next
No jest
on the
Raichu.
upcoming turn.
Raichu and Lightning
Tak,
grab
Raichu
off the
wy...
prize card.
który-
However, with the only Pokemon having energy being Iron Hands, without boss, right, Iron Hands definitely never taking down any of the relevant Pokemon on the bench.
Oho,
You have to
no
hope
szydełka.
Michael brings up the Greninja or the Squawkabilly of the Iron Bundle himself, which
Tak,
is
no.
very likely when you're staring down the single Pokemon powered up that is Iron Hands. So I wonder what Kenneth's plan here is.
No
to
jest
close out this game,
Slitherwing.
maybe hope for a whiff by Michael at some point after this knockout.
Yeah, finally picks up the Slitherwing. Bench is full, decides to go for a Raging Bolt. And just has Ogerpon in the active. It's going to be Professor Sada's Vitality. I think Michael is going to try to go for his older idea, right? Just stick behind this Raging Bolt and just say, well, I've seen so many bosses order, so many gusts. You've used the Forest Seal Stone already. I don't think you're going to be able to bring up anything else.
No,
And if
no
Kenneth
oczywiście
is
tak
not
Michaela widzę,
able
że robi
to get
coraz
around this
lepiej,
Raging
bo mi się
Bolt,
wydaje, że on
then
ma
it
tylko
will
dwie
go into
karty.
Michael's favor.
Nie, trzy, bo
Cards
już...
left in deck. All the cards on the table here. Both players throwing everything they possibly can at their opponent in this first game.
It was
Kurde, no już
Bravery
dobrą
Charm.
połowa
It was the
deku.
Bravery Charm which protects Michael from the Blood Moon Saloon if he places it on the right Pokemon. Well, I guess any Pokemon works because then they're out of
No,
range of
widzę,
the
że to tym razem
240 damage.
Bravery Charm na
That
fejdzie.
Bravery Charm find is huge, Adam.
At this point, I'm thinking, is there a way to pivot around to set up the Raichu V? Is there enough electric generators even left? You know that we're looking at Iron Bundle as well as an option to get this Raging Bolt EX out of the active spot. And Michael's just going to go for the Pal Pad, get a couple more.
No,
Professor
musi też
Sadas
chyba Iona
into the
wziąć chyba,
deck.
tak?
It's so thin, you know you're going
A,
to
to
draw
co
these next
tutaj?
turn to get your energy attachments you need.
Wydekuje się.
Sada's back.
Co mi szkodzi?
What options does Kenneth have here?
Odważnie.
Yeah, I like that Michael's knocking out the Iron Hands to turn off the potential to bring up the Radiant Greninja to take 2 prizes off of Ampy very much, or Squawkabilly, right? Also weak to lightning. And even though this is kind of a slugfest, both players have to be very specific about manipulating HP, manipulating targets that are in play.
I was a little scared about that benching of the Slitherwing at this point in time because that would open up the Lightning Rondo attack for 300 damage, but because Michael is replacing the stadium, that means no more Squawkabilly in play, one less liability for you.
And Kenneth has to debate, do I keep this Pikachu EX in play to give myself access to Area
Rotom.
Zero?
No,
if
tutaj
Raikou
Rotom słusznie
is
nie jest
going to be my
potrzebny.
attacker of choice. Squawkabilly hits the discard pile. And there is the double-edged sword of maybe even Pokestop giving Kenneth a little bit more dig as well to find electric generators.
I think Michael knows it comes down to, do you have boss or not?
And we know, of course, that the final boss's orders and Luminion V are both in the prizes, so Kenneth is already racking his brain about where is going to be my final target.
Lightning Rondo does 220 damage exactly to knock out that
No.
Ogerpon on the bench, but that
No to
boss
widzę, że już
top,
jest
it-
no
the
po
game generally
chęcie.
comes down to that, and we've talked about Adam, this like
No
one
właśnie,
card
no.
being the prize cards can completely change the dynamic. Kenneth had the advantage. He got the first 2 prizes, but didn't have enough cost effects to turn this around.
O,
As he
zaraz.
top decks the Iron
Wziął
Bundle.
pingwina.
Iron Bundle, and finally Michael plays around it thanks to that other Bravery Charm, even if you force your opponent to promote something
ma-
else into the active.
Znaczy tak, ma Raichu,
Blood
ma...
Moon Ursaluna is not going to be an option, even though there's a spot on the bench for the Raichu V. There's not enough energy in play. Is there? Dynamic Spark is 6x.
There's not enough energy right now, but there are 3 electric generators
Grał
available.
Ursaluna.
So
That's it,
that
yeah.
does end up being
There
the
is-
final Hail Mary.
Yep, there's an Arvin in hand as well. Kenneth is going to fail that Nest Ball to have the opportunity to use Raichu's Dynamic Spark, which is the only opening now. Can he get 5 energies in play? Already has 2, right? So knocking out the Iron Hands, perhaps not the best play by Michael last turn.
And benches the Raichu V, doesn't use the Iron Bundle first, just to bring something else up. So he's going to really dig deep with these electric generators.
Now we're going to be using secret box
No,
in order
jest,
to spin the
boksik.
deck further, right? You could just search for
Dobra,
the
mamy
electric
boksa.
generator
No i
right
tutaj
now, but with
boksik.
secret box you're
No,
getting
raczej będziemy
3 other
dysponować
cards
energię,
alongside
tak?
the electric generator to thin your deck out of other cards that are not energy to increase the chances. Kenneth needs to hit 2 energy from that electric generator exactly, plus the attachment for turn. That's going to be 300 damage from Raichu.
Okay.
No.
We're going to see it here, Pablo. Another very close game 1, another very clutch
Czy się
sequence
uda,
of
tak?
thinning the deck,
Tak,
getting
wchodzimy
cards
już
out of the
w
deck,
etap.
setting up for electric generator finally.
Let's play gambling!
And I know our folks at
Graj
home
ridy.
are trying to also crunch how many energy are left, how much is in the discard pile versus the deck. We've got a bunch in the hand. They've been grabbed out of the prizes as well.
Serendipity before the electric generator finds another electric generator though.
Okay.
No to mamy 2 szanse na to, że odpalą.
Okay, plus fleet-footed.
I jeszcze super wędka. No by oczywiście zwiększyć.
I'm at the edge of my seat. Goes for concealed cards. He keeps drawing, Pablo. I'm worried he's going to keep drawing lightning energy.
Co tu się dzieje?
Crazy, that super rod is gonna be so good. You can see
No
Kevin
jest
shaking his
Lumineon.
head at the boss's orders and the Luminion not being available and in his prize cards. Now he also has Area Zero. He can play down the Luminion, get another supporter out of the deck.
Znaczy jest wędka, aby właśnie można było wtasować energię i zwiększyć szanse. Chyba na pewno będzie wędka grana i widzę właśnie, że grana będzie wędka, aby właśnie zwiększyć szanse na dropnięcie tych generatorów.
I think there is an Area Zero in his hand. I could be mistaken, but it wasn't grabbed by the secret box and it's not priced. And there are 2 copies
No i będzie
in
teraz.
the list. So
Yeah, I think it was the far left of the hand.
yeah, exactly.
No ta
It's a
ręka jest
super
już
golden
cienka.
one, so we still have a bit. Not gonna do it.
Come on, Kenneth. Oh, he's going for the electric generator. Maybe there's no supporters left in the deck. He's got the count,
Jest.
Pablo.
Są
my
dwie.
God, 4 energies at the top. There's a hit, 2 energies off the generator onto Raichu, attach for turn, and that's 300 damage.
Tak, no
to
i jeszcze
finish off
retreat z
this
Latiasa,
Raging
no
Bolt in
i
the active spot.
nokautujemy wszystkie za 300, więc pierwszą wygrywa Kenneth Gilman.
Raichu V scales mount Raging Bolt to take the final knockout.
Yeah, Latias was very key there.
No, widać, że tu bardzo ładne zagranie, wędeczka po energię, żeby właśnie zwiększyć szanse na dropnięcie. A i w ogóle odchudzanie deku.
Magneton's ability replenishing when you whiffed your first electric generator, that's fine, doesn't matter.
And that was just a great showcase of what Miraidon is truly capable of. Raging Bolt put up a much better fight than what we saw yesterday, and if Slitherwing kind of enters center stage a little bit earlier in the game, this matchup can really flip on its head. That's really what I want to see, Pablo.
Now, that whiffed KO by the Raging Bolt player, right? I think the whole game came down to that whiff. The Pokegear wasn't played, which we could see in the replay that we have ready for everyone. That Pokegear wasn't played. The first attack was not dealt, and then Kenneth took the first 2 prizes and ran away with the game. Both decks are super aggressive. Both decks need to be attacking on turn 1, but even if you don't get the first 2 prizes, if Michael had knocked out that Magneton, we're talking about a completely different game where Kenneth is starved out of resources and energy.
And Michael might make that adaptation. Maybe thought that the Bravery Charm would be enough to keep Miraidon at bay, was hoping for maybe Slitherwing to do some hard carrying, but because of that unlucky Pokestop, right, had to use the Night Stretchers to get Raging Bolts back, and as you said, Pablo would rather use that for Slitherwing, and you can see the struggle of throwing his energy away, but when you're already behind on prizes, even though they're going back and forth, it came down to Kenneth with the ball in his court. Michael with just 1 prize card remaining because of the Magneton knocking itself out, grabs Raichu V, thins everything he can down to get this electric generator, get all the energy in play, and take the final knockout with Dynamic Spark.
Very well played by both players, just missing that key Professor Sada. And now
Ja się ten Miraidon też zaczyna zdominować.
second again, and hopefully get that first turn KO, which is so important.
If that is the case, Kenneth, can pivot and say, okay, well, I'm going to just put a Magnemite up into the active spot once again. And you know how it is against Raging Bolt. If they have to use Professor Sawdust to get their attack set up, they have lower chance being able to gust. And who knows if all of the pieces are going to come together with maybe a prime catcher, and if you get a key knockout on a 2-prize Pokemon, maybe even a main attacker that Kenneth would like to use, then Michael certainly can run away with this second game.
Dobra, mamy Bolta i Raikou. No i znowu jest tak samo. Chyba jest Miraidon na ręce? Czy to jest... O, jest Nestball z top decku, dobra. Co oznacza, że wyszukamy sobie Miraidona i wyłożymy się. Jak tym razem w Price. Czyli zapikacz aktywny. No tym razem oczywiście Illumineon i Rotom jest. Ale tym razem nie ma bossa. 2 bossy są dostępne. Jest ciekawy koncept użycia Rotoma w Miraidonie. Chociaż jest to taki early grow.
You potentially lose your Magnemite, and all of a sudden you have no energy on board. But sure, your opponent didn't take 2 prizes. Is that worth it?
Yeah, and Kenneth, we saw there in the prizes, just is losing out on an Arven. Luminion and Rotom V are both in the prizes as well. These are key basic Pokemon that Kenneth loves to use, and hopefully Heavy Ball can come through at some point.
No ale tak, Heavy Ball jest dostępny, jak widać, można było zauważyć w deku, więc to też umożliwi faktycznie Kennethowi
mid and late game KOs. We saw
Dużo
how
nie
much
dać.
work needs to be done on the Miraidon side to get past these Bravery Charms, and it is going to be an attack and a retreat, and Kenneth promotes Pikachu EX. This is another Pokemon that's great to hide behind thanks to Resolute Heart. Yeah. Raging Bolt's not going to be able to take a knockout here. Let me double check the list. Show me the canceling Cologne.
There's no
znaczy takie opóźnienie, chociaż nie wiem. I to jest ręka, którą...
Slitherwing does hit for weakness and then burns the active Pokemon, and that's the only way Raging Bolt has in order to bypass the Resolute
Ten Bolt
Heart.
się rozkręca bardziej.
Good move by Kenneth, retreating, foregoes the energy, but values the Magneton, and Pikachu, of course, very hard to take down, right?
Yeah.
Treating the Raging Bolt, finding the 2 fighting energies can even be a struggle sometimes for Raging Bolt decks.
And he's going to take that risk, valuing the Magneton's ability. With the potential of giving up access to Area 0 for this game and also 2 prizes. Meanwhile, looking at Michael's prizes, Fezandipity EX way at the top.
Fez w prizach! A czyli sukces jest taki, że nie ma prime catchera, ale mamy jedną walczącą, jedną trawiastą, Nestball i co ciekawe 2 wesele. No dobra, Sada jest, czy nie ma? O, nie ma.
So Squawkancy is gonna have to be really good here for Michael, and finding a knockout on this Pikachu looks less and less likely with that failed Pokegear.
Michael, especially with just Raging Bolt sitting in the active, there's not going to be too much going on there. There is just 2 switch cards to pivot into the Slitherwing, but first and foremost, it's going to be Squawk and Seize. Discard your hand and draw 6. This ability can only be used on the first turn of the game. Your first turn.
We need a lot of pieces. We need Sada, we need the Slitherwing, we need 2 fighting energies. I do see a bunch of Raging Bolts. I think I saw Sada at the very end of the hand, or it could be the Slitherwing.
Yeah, I think that's the Slitherwing.
Czy jest? Buty, Nestball, ja, wszystko.
It's a draw 3, and Trekking Shoes can dig just a little bit deeper. We need an Earth Vessel. We need something to get grass energy for Teal Dance. Going to be a Nestball now to thin just a little bit more.
Also need Earthen Vessel for that fighting energy, right? There
True.
isn't any fighting energy, and with 2 Earthen Vessels prized and the fighting prized as well, could even be difficult to just piece any attack for Michael right here.
And if you miss your opening knockout when you're going second is Raging Bolt, that is an absolutely cursed position, Pablo. Trekking Shoes, prime catcher. Everything is falling into place for a Slitherwing attack, but there's no energy.
No energy, no Sana. Well, there's 1 Sun in the discard pile.
Kurde, no, spalił Prankachera.
Finds the Sada. What a draw. Very nice.
Has
Off
to
the
give
top.
up Prime Catcher,
Warto
and that's
było.
the smart move.
Definitely rewarded for the
Tak,
risky
warto było,
choice, but
tak.
now, yeah. I don't
Warto
like filling
było
up
się
your bench
smucić.
before you draw 3 cards. There's no real reason to do this. Can we find the fighting energy to
A
at
taki
least
bolesny, można by
put this
powiedzieć.
Pikachu EX in range, do a little bit of damage. You don't even
Yeah, and
need to do...
doesn't bench the Slitherwing here either. Is hoping to somehow get around
Myślę, że
this
znaczy, że nie
Pikachu
ma
with the
możliwości
Pokemon
gwiazd.
Catcher.
No fighting energy found.
Yikes.
No Earthen Vessel either, and a bunch of cards you probably
O, ale
don't
są
want to
nosze.
first roar away. Your 2 Night Stretchers, the Slitherwing, which you don't have space for. If you lose the Slitherwing and the 2 Night Stretchers right here, that's it, right?
Your
There's
single
no way
prize,
to get it back.
Your answer to Pikachu, it's all going to be gone. Instead, uses 1 Night Stretcher to get a Grass Energy back to draw 1 more off of
No, jest
Oglądamy.
więcej
Professor
sady.
Sada will set up for next turn, but there's nothing else going on this turn, Pablo. Just passes it back over, and Kenneth's Gambit pays off. Pikachu EX survives in the active spot, and if he can get Latios, it'll just retreat for free, and then hide on the bench and prepare for Area 0.
No i tak, no i zagrywamy Iridę, idziemy po Greninja i chyba Nesta po.
In order to get Latias, I know Kenneth is holding the 4 Seal Stone, so with that, could just find the Magneton and establish the threat. Does choose to go for a secret box.
Albo po
and the Iron
pingwinka.
Bundle, which I also like. Makes for a more manageable potential KO. You have to imagine it's going to be the Radiant Greninja that gets promoted to force Kenneth to at least invest a lot of resources into an Iron Hands EX, which is very demanding.
Yeah, I do
No,
like that.
ciężkie wybory.
Going for the Iron Bundle very early in your turn, seeing what your opponent promotes, and then sculpting the rest of your sequence around taking that knockout or finding something different.
No dobra,
Discards
Raichu.
Raichu V. Going to bring that back later on. I love just safely putting this in the discard pile. You know it's going to be there and safe. Meanwhile, Kenneth searching out, getting this other Bravery Charm. There is just 1 in the list. You might as well have another tool card in there alongside your secret box after you've used your 4 Seal Stone.
Now Magneton already in the hand, so Kenneth poised for a really powerful turn here. We'll go for the follow-up Irida, the electric generator, probably the Area 0, and then what I would love to see, because Kenneth did choose to keep the Iron Bundle, I would love to see him use the Iron Bundle, see what Michael chooses to promote, although you could, I guess you could also choose to bench the Iron Hands first before using it. That way your opponent sees it and maybe they promote something that is a 2-prizer that they think is out of range, such as the other Raging Bolt perhaps, though it is in range with the Raikou. So there's definitely a lot of mind games. Yeah.
Oh, I
a lot
love
of mind games here. We see the Iron Bundle being used though. First,
early bundle.
the less
zmuszamy.
less information you give your opponent on what you are planning to do, the better. I would have even loved to see him do it before committing to the secret box, but there's a Greninja promotion, so now it's going to be Iron Hands, and Magneton is what allows this play to work really, really well.
Beautifully done. And of course, there are some Miraidon players that are like, okay, well, you can bench the Iron Hands, like Pablo said, show it off, force your opponent to promote something else, and then you have Iron Hands in the back as this omnipresent threat.
Yeah, and then that maybe encourages the Raging Bolt in the active, and then maybe you can dedicate your energies onto the Raikou after filling up your bench and hitting
No to mamy już
for
Hansa i
so
Bolta.
both options are pretty good. Kenneth
Znaczy,
choosing to not give any clues to Michael on what he was planning on doing, though you have to expect in round 12
Jest i Magneton, jak o wilku mowa, i Generator.
You're gonna imagine your opponent's best play most likely.
Turbo, czy jest jakaś energia? Jest jedna energia się znalazła w ostatniej karcie.
Energy, which combined with Magneton is perfect, right? That's the 4 you need, or if you have a double turbo in hand,
No to jest tak...
that allows you to spread your energy from Overbolt Discharge even better.
And we saw Landon, right, in his winner's interview, talked about so much that Miraidon was kind of tied so closely to
No i mamy arenę Undeps.
whiffing or finding energy, and Magneton giving the option to just get 3 lightning energy and get them into play.
Jezu, jak naładować Hansa w jedną turę.
Confidently set up these Iron Hands plays.
Of the secret box,
No i mamy Vista. I on potrzebuje tego Latiasa, żeby wycofać Pokemona.
Okay, it's gonna
Or
be for
double turbo.
I was thinking more along the lines of Latias, though I guess because like you're gonna have to dedicate one energy to retreat the Pikachu anyway.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But I mean, this still gives you one energy left over.
No, to czy jednak idziemy po double turbo? A chyba będzie chodziło o to, że tym magnetonem będziemy wycofywać, tak? Co na pewno będzie overcharge.
Finally, the overbolt discharge. That's going to grab those lightning energies out of the discard pile, and you can attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. And it also, hang on, reconsidering the double turbo.
No, I think the judges are asking. Double turbo is the attached for turn. The lightning energy is from electric generator.
Yes.
And now we're using magneton. So.
A tak, to było z generatora, tak, to było z generatora, więc żeby tak. No, widać, że pyta się.
And then Michael gets a prize because of that knockout, grabs a grass energy.
Yep.
And then the
I jeden do rajku i będzie retreat.
One on the Pikachu for the retreat, sets up the Iron Hands, and then preps for Raikou in the future.
No, bo to było z generatora akurat, więc mógł podpiąć.
Again, Kenneth kind of getting the first knockout
No i
of the
thank you
game.
very much.
Michael got a prize, but when Raging Bolt's on odd prizes, you don't really care, and Michael still has a lot of homework to do to find a fighting energy to attach to this Raging
Tak, i
Bolt
odblokował
and get the
Sarwana
return
i
KO.
No more Pokestop available, no Fezandipity in play. Does have Professor Sada, but I don't even think there's energy in the discard
Kurde,
pile
jednak Mirajdo wraca do gry.
Gonna take a look.
No
Nothing! Oh, this is rough, Pablo. Kenneth has been playing this beautifully, using the Iron Bundle to, you know, trick, so to speak, Michael's, to promote the Radiant Greninja, and Michael has to use the Night Stretchers. These have been basically made of gold for Michael. They're so important to find energy, to find and get these Pokemon back, and only having two of them means that he is forced into these positions to use them where he probably doesn't want to. Again, the bench is full. Slitherwing is not going to take center stage here. He has to find fighting energy.
The bench is full, but thanks
Znaczy
to our
to zaznaczyć...
Overpon, we actually have 3 bonus spots right now, so that's going to be pretty useful for Michael, who's struggling to find that fighting energy, that Earth and Vessel.
No musi znaleźć, bo ta jedna jest w price'ach.
Because it's also priced.
Yeah, he's trying to just draw into this energy raw with the Earthen Vessels and the Fighting Energy prize. At the very least, Slitherwing could enter the bench, as you mentioned, Pablo, but now Michael's also wary of overbenching because of Raikou V.
Yeah, Lightning Rondo, a very powerful threat, and even though Kenneth doesn't have a full bench right now, could fill it up with Tandem Unit, and big cards, there's the last card off the top.
At the very least, Michael will finally get an attack this turn, has now Teal Dance to draw one more, and gets to swing back into Iron Hands.
Basically in the same spot as the previous game. Kenneth took the first 2 prizes. Michael has that odd prize from the Magneton, but will not get any benefit from it. Bravery Charm placed onto the Overpon instead of the Raging Bolt. I would have really liked to see it on the Raging Bolt, or perhaps on the Slitherwing. I guess there's likely not going to be another Iron Hands coming. I don't know. But so far so good. Take the knockout, protect the energies on the active, your highest HP Pokemon. No overbenching.
Aha, w top deck Fezandipity.
On the table for Kenneth. So can
Kenneth
find boss? That's what this game will come down to.
And after the draw for turn is going to go for Tandem Unit now to try to thin the deck down a little bit more before going for Flip the Script to try to draw into that supporter.
I want to say before, like when I saw that this was the matchup, I was generally thinking Raging Bolt usually walks away the winner, but I think we're seeing the big difference between, like, both decks have their the card they need, right? Raging Bolt needs Sawdive every turn, Miraida needs those electric generators to hit, right? But Sada also requires more things beyond that, and Raiden gets the benefit of Magneton, so can Raiden now surpass Raging Bolt in consistency?
No dobra, mamy chyba
Oh my
Ursalunę.
god, speaking of firepower, Kenneth is all set up. After a fleet-footed, after a Flip the Script, has 2 bosses orders in the hand. The rest of his prize map is ready to go.
He has all 3, I believe, and already has the Blood Moon as well, which if
all 3, my god.
If Michael knocks out the
No,
Raikou,
weźcie sobie
Blood
tą
Moon is
Bravery
ready.
czarnie.
Michael knocks out the Blood Moon, then their Raikou sticks
Bravery
around.
czarna
So
Ursalunie, żeby nie było aż tak
good
łatwo,
here
co oznacza, że jest już...
Kenneth
No i
basically
boss
has
order
game
na...
and keeps the Squawk in play to prevent
I tak jest
or
idealnie.
to keep that as a target for next turn.
And he's just going to open it up. Bosses up Teal Mask Ogrepon, takes that knockout, 2 prize cards remaining. Michael does have 1 copy of Iono in the deck, can put these bosses' orders down to the bottom of the deck and try to hang on
też
here
polega na
behind
tym,
the
że to
big HP of
że
Raging
Iono
Bolt.
jest
Is he going to be able to find it here,
sytuacyjna.
Pablo? Teal Mask Ogrepon enters the bench. There's an energy retrieval to get some grass energy to draw 2 more cards. Pheasantipity, remember, is in the prizes, so no
Tak,
flip
no
the
właśnie
script
tutaj
here
jest
either.
przypomnienie o
Has to
tym, że
draw
Fez
into
jest w
the
prizach,
Iono
przez
or
co no,
bust.
tutaj jest trochę ciężko.
Iono or
No i
bust,
jedyny
as
draw.
mentioned,
Shit is
has a
savvy.
little bit of draw power with those teal dances, has that energy
Almost
retrieval to
still there,
activate them,
so.
also has concealed cards as well, so can potentially see the top 4 cards, maybe find a Poké Gear, but you're right,
Actually,
Adam.
the boss-
That one Iono has got to be it. And if we see a Palpad back into those 2 Professor Sadas, then it's essentially game over. And we're gonna see them.
No. By palpating the Sada back into the deck before drawing, it means that Michael has a lower chance of getting the Iono. He doesn't know. We've got the bird's eye view. He doesn't know
Znaczy wiecie,
what's
wygląda
lurking
no
in
ta Iono
Ken's
jest
hand.
He
sytuacyjna
definitely doesn't
bardziej.
know. However, with Pheasantipity in play, and like Kenneth has a huge hand, right? He must have at least 10 cards in there. You have to be aware that that's a possibility and try to reduce the chances of that happening as much as possible. An extra
I think
Sada when you have
Garnets.
already enough energies to knock out is not really gonna do anything for you at this point.
Benches another Raging Bolt, has energy in the hand for concealed cards, and who knows? Maybe he just draws into Iono right now.
Yeah.
His
Tak,
fate has
no.
already been locked in where he is going to get Iono for this turn and give us an extended real game 2. But there's 7 minutes left on the clock. It is
A ja
definitely
dostał tutaj
important for Kenneth to
7,5
close this one out, because
minuty,
even
no,
though these decks want to be
zegar
aggressive,
tyka.
they want to take prizes quickly, there's a lot of actions that build up to taking these prizes, and you can see how long it takes for all of the sequencing to be navigated.
2 extra cards to thin
No,
in
co
order to
ciekawe,
increase the
tutaj
chances,
Michael-
but Michael seems to be
Kalias
wanting
gra
to draw
odkurzacz.
a Sada instead of that Iono. We'll see. This will remove the Squawkabilly liability from play, which ideally would be pretty good.
No.
However, Blood Moon can now knock out any of these. Now we do need 1 Pokemon removed from Michael's bench before we move forward, as the R0.
Oh wait, no, he got
it
rid
was
of the
Bravery Charm. My bad, my
Charm.
bad. It was
Okay.
the Bravery Charm.
So he's prepping to take down this Blood Moon, it looks like. There's concealed cards.
Iono.
Sada.
Sada and Pokestop, no help, so that means Kenneth will walk away the winner here. There's not enough Bravery Charms to save all
No
of
to
these
nic nie zmienia,
Pokemon
bo tu
from play.
mamy...
Yep, after the Pokestop enters play, Squawkabilly leaves play, and it's just back down to normal bench. Kenneth is calm, sitting there
Ale
with his
znowu
hands nicely folded,
Pokestop.
just
No, you
waiting
won.
for his opponent to finish out the turn, finish
No
all of
bravery
these actions.
poszedł.
You've got 3 bosses orders in your hand, you're ready to go. 2 bosses orders left.
That's usually one of the best feelings, Adam, when you're sitting there knowing you
O,
have
jest
the game
Pokekaczem.
in hand. I guess knockout on the Blood Moon or Saluna would complicate things a little bit.
Yeah, there's heads on the
for
catcher.
Kenneth,
No,
but,
heads
I mean,
widzę,
one
no.
more basic
Trochę
Pokemon
nie
and you're
widziałem, ale
doing
chyba
220 damage
Dobrze jest
onto
heads.
that Ogrepon with no Bravery Charm and you're good to go. So, and you have the
Aczkolwiek
basic
jaka to
guarantee
robi
with 10
różnicę.
unit. I'm sure like off of Kenneth's huge hand, he has another basic Pokemon
Że już chłop
available.
zaraz bossuje
And
kuźwa
that
Ogerpona
little mini
bez,
even,
bez.
just in case he needed
Make
to
sure
find
you
that
bench,
boss.
bro. Just bench. Make it nice and pretty.
Tak, Miraidon,
Ride
no
on
i
EX,
boss
and
tego
bosses
i
order.
nie ma...
And that's the
No i
game.
wygrywa
Kenneth
Kenneth Gilman
will
2-0 i
win
nie ma
round
trzeciej.
12 and advance to top.
No to cóż, Miraidon powrócił na tron, jak widać.
I was wondering
Chyba widać,
if
że
running just
Mirai-
straight
gracze
light
Miraidona
energy,
ładnie
not
grają.
trying to play into the Topaz
Miraidon
Bolt at all
powrócił.
would make him struggle to get these big knockouts, but Area Zero,
Ta.
Underdepths, and Secret Box
Miraidon
gives him all the pieces and all
wrócił,
of the
Miraidon
energy he
znowu
needs to take
stąd,
those big
jak to
knockouts
się
when the
mówi.
time comes.
Pikachu EX only fulfilling the role to
Zobaczymy, jak będzie
activate
protas.
Area Zero and make
Może będą
Raikou a
jakieś
much
nowe,
bigger
fajne,
threat. And allow you
elektryczne.
to have more wriggle room with your bench, right? You can have Pheasantipity, you can have Greninja, and you can have Blood Moon and all the backup Pokemon you might need. Now, I think we have our replay ready to see all the action that we
No tak,
just
czyli Kenneth
took
przewidział
a look
lepiej.
at to see
Kurde,
Rhydon
no
running
nie
away
trzeba...
with this game.
Jak się okazuje,
First KOs and running like
Czyli tym razem
bolt
nie
with
był
the
to bolt,
energy,
który
but
się
Magneton
zaciął
coming in to save
przy okazji.
I think
Tylko
that
tutaj już
with
faktycznie
the
była to
extra help
wyrównana
these,
walka. To bardzo
big
przyjemna.
basic decks have received,
Był
they're starting to
mecz
kind of
też
step
z
on
Mirai
Raging Bolt's toes a
Bolt,
little
tylko
bit.
że
Now that their unique strengths are more
graczowi Bolta wiecznie się coś
accentuated with,
zawieszało.
Raging Bolt, you know, it kind of has a reputation for missing these turn 1 knockouts from time to time, and Miraidon can more consistently set up the attackers it needs thanks to the electric generator, thanks to the Magneton's overvolt discharge, and with Pikachu EX being a nice 2-prize that you can just hide behind if you have a slow start. This was a masterclass of all the new tricks that Miraidon EX is capable of.
Topaz Bolt is a fantastic attack, but it's all about that resolute
Ten brak
heart.
feza
That's
boli,
really what
powiem
brings
tak.
Pikachu EX to a whole other level and allowed Miraidon. Yeah, it got 2 upgrades, Latias and Pikachu. Sorry, 3 upgrades and Magneton.
Yeah.
And that's enough to really, like, after seeing this game, I mean, Michael, once again, he whiffed the Sanas in both games, right? On turn 1, didn't get an attack off, didn't get the knockout, which would have been huge on the Magnemite, but overall, yeah, Miraidon does seem to be a lot more reliable than before. No more exclusive reliance on electric generator.
Raikou is the workhorse of that deck, right? For taking these great early mid-game knockouts, and as the meta had adapted and decks with higher HP became more prominent, Miraidon was struggling to get those knockouts, and now with Area 0, your old companion, your fleet-footed Forest Seal Stone Holder, with only 2 energies required to hit these big swings,
Zobaczymy jak to wygląda.
we're right back in Miraidon's world apparently.
Niedługo runda
We
13.
really are Miraidon back at the forefront. Goldengo surprised
Goldengo
us.
wygrał na
I think
Hendrixa.
we expected Surging
Kurwa,
Sparks
co?
to have an
O
effect
ja,
on the metagame,
Wiktor
but
Dever
I did not expect
Lasko,
to
którego wcześniej
see
widzieliśmy,
the decks at the
wygrał
very
na
top
Regi
of the crowd
Drago.
after a full day of competition.
Brenner
And
Torison
normally,
też
when it comes to,
wygrał.
there's usually the one aggressive deck of the metagame that's kind of keeping everybody honest, kind of dictates the pace that other meta decks want to go through. But now we've got Golden Go and also Miraidon kind of working in tandem to give some variety to the aggressive decks that are available for our players in, you know, for their competitive needs. And that in turn opens up more deck building potential, more techs. Do I want to run fire attackers to beat down on Golden Go? Do I want to run fighting type in order to have a better matchup versus Miraidon? These are questions that are going to need to be heavily considered going forward, evaluating the results of this tournament. And despite the winner, you know, whoever takes down the whole thing, when you see the top 8 spread and see that there's a
będziemy mieli
Miraidon
Goldengo w top
we'll have to see
8?
what the results from our Swiss rounds are, certainly, folks, but it's great to see some new faces and Surging Sparks really having an effect that I'd hoped it would.
Czy chyba też dużo nowych, póki co mamy stare rzeczy w nowych ciuchach, no bo tak jakby jedynym nowym deckiem, którego widzieliśmy, no to jest ten Serulecz. No ale Serulecz przegrał na Kawasaki, który był dość nietypowy.
Surprised me in a very good sense so far.
And we're going to hear now from our winner about how much Surging Sparks has revitalized his Miraidon deck and carried him into top 8. We're going to head down to the interview
O, jak się
station now.
zbrajdują energię, no to może być
Thank you,
faktycznie
Adam. Watcho Saldana here, and Sparks
ujemny.
are flying in the Sacramento Regional Championship. I have the last round winner. How are we feeling today?
Feeling pretty good. It's definitely been a long time that I've been playing Miraidon since last season, trying to get into a top finish, so I'm glad that kind of is paying off now.
2-0, no.
That's great to hear. And then Kenneth.
Zetronizował, a to są...
Somewhat local.
To powinien być całkiem dobry matchup na Bolta.
Yeah, I'm happy to do
No,
it.
gracze Bolta ostatnio mają dużo pecha.
I love to hear it, just because I love seeing the crowd roar. Literally, when you won, people went wild outside. I'm sure maybe they could cheer again. No. There it is for Kenneth. A lot of fans here at the Sacramento Regional Championships, and I'm sure they're going to be cheering even louder once they see you compete in top 8.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right, so tell us about the deck.
So, chose Miraidon, kind of made it a little different, wanted to play a little bit of Irida. Felt like Arvin was kind of going out with Latias, so not really playing as many tools, and felt like getting that Greninja early game felt better. It just felt better to get that in the secret box, so that's why I chose that. And Maridon specifically, I feel like the matchups were really good, except for Zard. So dodged Zard a little bit today, so I'm happy about that. But
Yeah, for sure. Tell us a little bit about the newer cards, though, newer additions to Maridon. How has it given it new life?
yeah, I feel like Maridon plays a lot different now. I feel like playing it with Latios and the Pikachu gives it a lot of synergy, kind of being able to utilize Raikou and not really get hindered by all those energies not hitting all the time off generators. You can still kind of make it work. So that's kind of the hope there.
That's for sure. I like how Raikou's just
No,
attackers now. Just use an extra card. You put your Seal Stone on it too.
Exactly. Multi-purpose.
Yeah,
Obrach Polonów
100%,
najlepszy
100%.
swój album.
Great Pokemon. And then let's talk about that matchup.
Długiego czasu.
Against Raging Bolt. In my mind, actually, I felt like that should be a tough matchup. 240 HP. It's a little bit hard to hit, even when it has the tool attached.
Yeah.
Even with a full bench, Raikou doesn't do the job there.
Yeah.
Run us through it.
I feel like, especially with Area Zero, kind of gives you a little bit of edge on that matchup because you can hit 240 if they bench a little bit more. You can also use Bear at the end of the game. You kind of utilize your bosses more than anything. Luckily, I was hitting my Gus, so I had that working out for me there. But yeah, I feel like against that matchup, it's definitely hard with that HP. You really got to work for it, and you got to hit everything you need. So I got a little lucky there. Maridon's working out.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. I mean, honestly, when I see the Maridon deck, especially yours, like the amount of things you can do in one turn is just, it feels great. You're using the Maridon ability. You're gonna Squawk and Seize. Let me use my A spec. I'll draw one card of Raikou. I'll use my B-Star power. That's a lot.
Yeah, you're going through everything. Take a little here and there, and then kind of get what you need.
100%. There's a lot of sequencing that really comes into play. Tell us about how you practice going into this event.
Yeah, sequencing was for sure the main focus anytime I was testing. I feel like it has a hard time with maybe hitting the generators at times, is what a lot of people will always say. But I feel like if you're always thinning first, the main focus is like getting that secret box, even though maybe you don't need it that turn, but just so you can utilize those generators, it really goes a far way. So it's kind of what I would say, just making sure you're thinning as much as possible.
I like it. I like it. Again, there's so many actions in Maridon, and every single one really is important. It might seem like little like small, not really important decisions, but maybe that one card is what separates you between a generator for 2, generator for 1, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
And now you're going into top 8. You made top cut. Excuse me. This
Oh.
is your highest standing so far.
Ty, też będę top
What's your
cuty?
mindset going into it?
Just keep focusing on the sequencing, especially. Keep my cool. Kind of just play games. It's enjoyable. I'm glad I get to play Maridon. It's doing well for me, so that's kind of my focus now.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right, before I let you go, so you can prep for the top cut. Anyone you want to shout out?
O, czyli chyba już przejdziemy do top cutu. Czyli
Kenneth
Kenneth w finale, wejdę w finale.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go!
I've got a lot of
U
friends
nas
here that
postaci, pacą.
support me, so I'm glad they're here. And John Bielik, thank you for helping me with the list. The editors are coming in clutch, so thank you for that. And yeah, just everybody back home.
Love to hear it. Kenneth Gilman, ladies and gentlemen, top 8 here at the Sacramento Regional Championships. I can't wait to watch him play, but before that, let's throw it back to the desk.
Maridon taking its place at the top of the pile here in Sacramento. And
Tak,
these
Maridon
players are
będzie
still fighting to
rządził.
take their place potentially at the World Championships and potentially at the top
Chociaż
of
Golden
our
też już tu
leaderboard.
wymiata.
It's really important to note, folks. If you
Kutapała
win a regional,
pokonał.
you're going to World immediately, but you still have to fight for points and potentially be at the top of our overall leaderboard for the region in order to get those World invites
Koledze,
as
który
well.
gra z Roleżem, mogę uspokoić jedną. Spokojnie, na razie się nie zanosi. A rzeczywiście te sprayzowane energie też mogą być problemem. W szczególności jak gramy na...
Now we're in the next part of the season where everything's reset and they're basically everyone's starting at 0 for the NAIC Travel Awards, which will culminate with EUIC. So all these players
Teraz
they've earned a lot
przypomnę
of
jak
championship
wygląda,
points
bo
up until
jak na razie
today,
mimochodem
but now
prowadzi
essentially
Randy
they can
Rao,
start earning them
ale
again
Gabriel
if they're
Smart
looking to
powoli
get a Travel
goni.
Award for the next
No Henry Chow widzę spadł.
We're already seeing some shifting pop
Ale
up.
tak,
Players have
Rahul
already
Randy
earned
prowadzi.
points this weekend depending on where they ended up, day 1, day 2 status.
Z czego co widzę, no drugi jest Gabriel, potem mamy Kirana, potem mamy Michaela Davidsona, no i Henry Chow. Chociaż on ma invite'a,
There's
więc...
so many championship points to play for.
Henry
Not
ma
everyone goes to every
invite'a.
event, right? So you sit one out, then that can
Stan się
sometimes
nie
come
musi
back to bite you,
martwić.
right? Now another important thing to consider
Inni
is the
to
best
muszą
finish limit
bardziej.
of 5. Now a lot of these players have
Też
traveled
11
to
jest
Europe
Austin Ellis.
or Latin America to get championship points at those events as well. So
Emlet
in the beginning, we're going to see a lot of
też
players
jest na
like really
14.
rise to the top if they're heading to a lot of events, but eventually afterwards, they might
Daniel
not be able to
Hembert
get
jest
the
8.
full maximum
I Caleb
championship
Robertson 7.
points allowance, if you will, because they will already have their best finish limits of 5 accumulated, and so if they improve one result, they might get a bonus of 20 or 30 championship points. So by the time, like by around February, I expect the top leaderboard to not change as significantly as it has been doing so far.
That is very important to note when the players are competing and trying to figure out which events they want to go to. When we continue through the season and we see where everybody's best finish limits are also kind of averaging out to, you can make a much stronger read on, are you safe with your ranking? We're focusing on just the top 16 right here, Pablo, but the world's invite threshold goes all the way down to top 125 here for NA.
Yeah, I'd love to see the bottom part of the race, right? Because that's where it's going to be really intense. Those players fighting for that last invite, right? And then, of course, in Europe we have the exact same battle happening with our leaderboard. We have the top players.
No, w Europie prowadzi oczywiście Alberto Cotti, potem mamy Daniela Magdę, Mirosława Podlaślina, który ma też invite'a. Ilanow jest czwarty, potem mamy Jamesa Coxa, który jest właśnie w tym europejskim rankingu. Nie wiem, jak działają australijscy gracze, ale chyba Ryson bawi się w europejskich. No, Łaszkiewicza mamy na 16 miejscu. Mamy tak już zabukowane póki co. No, Reklew na 7, Magnus Peterson 6. Jon Baraszek. Barszezak i Johan Barszezak duży. Znaczy tak, Kotti, Podlesny oraz Cox mają już invite'y. Więc oni nie muszą się niczym martwić.
This is par for the course for them. And when I look at this European leaderboard,
Valerian Rzepka
Reklev, right, sitting at a very
jest
comfortable
Niemcem.
place, we could see him
Sam fakt, że
jump
ma
wildly to
kończy się
number
na
one on the
Rzepka,
leaderboard
to
once
tak
again after taking down a couple ICs.
daje takie.
Yeah, he's special. It feels like he's the IC specialist, right? He didn't attend LAIC this time around, but I'm sure we can count on him being at EUIC and NAIC. I don't know what he drinks before those
Trzech
tournaments,
paniczy ma
but
już
like he's the final
invite'a.
boss of IC specifically.
I've got my eyes on Stefan Ivanov, certainly. Always cooking up some spicy brews and always, you know, popping
Z czego
off
jeden
with
niedawno w
solid decks. I think
NACA zdobył.
But whatever else happens to catch their fancy, it's going to be a good time. You know it's going to be good, clean play. And that's mostly what I love from Europe, right? Not only do they innovate, they also play so clean.
No i
And
na
these are
nas
the sort
spadła
of matches that are,
czeska
you
egida,
know,
Daniel Magda i
want to
Podleśni tutaj.
study to really get into the game,
Strącili
to understand that
Ilanowa.
next level.
Yeah, man, as you mentioned, like right now the season really forces you to like stay on top the whole season, right? If you take a little bit of time off, like it's almost like
Tak ogólnie,
gonna be
ktoś
out
się
of
pytał, to
form,
właśnie
right?
Alberto
Even
ogólnie
though
prowadzi
obviously
te
you know what
burty.
the cards do, you can study as much as you want, but there's even something important about like the muscle memory of going through the motions, the thinning, the making sure you price check at a very reasonable pace, you're playing at a good pace, you're like used to all the shuffling and all the actions, you don't make any mistakes that could lead to a price penalty or something like that, and all of that comes with practice. The more you practice in person, the more you're gonna be used to that, and it just happens automatically in a very efficient manner.
Focus is also like a muscle that you have to exercise, and if you lose focus in a game, you're going to forget your sequencing, you're going to forget to use your Pokestop, or you didn't nest ball to thin one more card out of the deck, and those little percentages are what makes a good player into a great player.
I want to share an anecdote I had. We had a long pause, right, in tournaments a few years back, and I've been playing for a long time, and I got a double prize penalty in a match, like in the first regional when we were back, because I took a knockout and I forgot to take my prize cards, because when you play online, right, that happens automatically. It pushes you to get the prizes automatically, or it just puts them in your hand if you've won the game. And I just forgot to grab the prize, and I've been grabbing prizes for 25 years, Adam. That's the one time I forgot, and it cost me that round and probably the whole tournament.
And that is all it takes sometimes. I'm really sorry that happened to you, Pablo.
Okay.
But we did have a little bit of a fun time, though, yesterday, because you were talking to Wancho, and our audience at home who was watching found out that you were a fan of Pokemon Puzzle League. And for those of you who don't know, so am I. So we got a chance to do a little show match over in the free play area where we have those Nintendo 64s set up, the systems that are almost as old as we are now. And it was great to jump in and definitely get some nostalgia. So we're going to check out and see how that match went.
O, kurde. Zaczęło się.
We're live right now here at the Sacramento
Aha, będzie
Championship.
Master
There's more
Top Cut,
competition
czyli jesteśmy
here.
blisko top 8.
This Pokemon Puzzle League. We're in the free play lounge. And right now we have Adam Skarsgård Watson against Pablo Tablemon Mesa. Again, Pokemon Puzzle League. I talked to Pablo earlier. He said this could be an esport. So let's go ahead and get a match going. Pablo, tell me about this game.
Kurde, to jest jeszcze z N60. Pokémon Puzzle. Grają tu jeszcze, to jest z N64. Kurde, to jest taki Tetris trochę. Ja lubię takie puzzle gry, one są przyjemne. Zresztą te starsze potrafią przyciągać.
You basically send a lot of garbage to your opponent, and then you try to like keep sending, and then make combos and chains. And the higher the chain, the more garbage you send. As you can see on the screen, I have a lot of garbage sent
No,
to
to jest taka
Adam,
trochę
he's gonna have a lot of options.
On the ropes.
I feel like you're about to lose, Adam.
Pablo, you're so mean. You didn't tell me you were this good.
Ło, jakie kombosy tu lecą na tej giereczce.
Work against you, as you see, like now he sent a lot because I sent him a lot, and then that gives you a lot of things to work with, and then you have to wait until the pieces fall down. And I think Adam, I'm out of options as well.
Just a little bit more.
Okay. Making a recovery. We're good. I think we're good.
I think we went.
Yeah. All right. So this is gonna be like these. I feel like if this is like high level, it can get pretty intense.
Kurde, no robić turnieje. Też na... Co, to jeszcze sprawny N64.
Like we're both so close to losing.
And good thing there's a timer in the middle.
Recovery time for me. I think he has.
I feel like you're in trouble, Pablo.
I definitely am. Oh my gosh! But like, it's all about the timing of no.
Oh, what a match! That was intense.
Normally it's a best of 3.
Równie oceniające, co?
And all on the line, and I came out victorious this time.
I'm sorry, guys. You know what? That was Pokemon Puzzle League, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna throw it back to more Pokemon action because I want to play next. Get up, Adam. My turn.
No.
Hey there, Pokemon trainers. I'm
Aha,
here with
tutaj jeszcze jest
Electric
Pokemon
Keely,
Go.
and I have some fun Pokemon-themed questions for you about this weekend and
Jezus,
Pokemon in
wcześniej
general.
było?
So to get started, what are you the most excited about this weekend?
I'm excited to compete. I'm excited to see all of my friends who play Pokemon from across North America. I'm just happy to be here.
All right. It's always a good time when all the friends show up, for sure. If you could be a Pokemon, which Pokemon would you be and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like I'm gonna go with Meowscarada. I am a huge cat person. Anyone who knows me knows it's gotta be cat. So I'm a big Meowscarada fan. That one.
All right. I mean, it's probably the top cat in the VGC format. I can't think of any other cats that would be popular right now. So, next question. What is the coolest Pokemon you've ever caught?
The coolest Pokemon I've caught? That's a good question. Maybe just the situation. I feel like the most exciting Pokemon I caught was when I caught a shiny Buzzwole in Pokemon Go. I don't know. Catching shinies in Pokemon Go with friends is always fun.
It's always really exciting when you finish the raid and then it shows up shiny and like everybody cheers for
No
sure.
dobra, to jeszcze jest
What
trochę
is your
czasu.
favorite
tutaj-
VGC format of all time?
I think I'm a pretty new VGC player. I only started playing in Scarlet Violet, so I've only really played a few formats. I think my personal favorite that I've played was Regulation F. I had a lot of fun playing Gouging Fire and Chen Pao and Dragonite. That was definitely my favorite format to play so far.
Those were a lot of fun teams as well. If your best friend was a Pokemon, who would they be and why?
Ooh.
Ciekawe jakby wyglądała ta realizacja Pokémon.
I don't know. I want to go with a different cat because I feel like we would just be best friends and like a Litten and Meowscarada. You know, I think that's cute.
I think that covers all your bases as well. So you have a fire cat, a grass cat, and maybe someday a water cat. So Sacramento is the city of trees. What's your favorite grass Pokemon that maybe isn't Meowscarada?
I love starter Pokemon. I'm a big fan of Grookey as well. Maybe not so much its evolutions. They scare me, but I love Grookey.
Fair enough, fair enough. What would you say to your future self if you won the tournament this weekend?
You did that. Wow, I would be very proud of myself. That's for sure.
Would you rather win one regional a year but never get top 25 in the championship point ranking,
Fajne są te
or
tipsy z
consistently
Lucy.
get top 25 in the championship point rankings and never win a regional?
I would want to win a regional. That's such a cool title to have. Yeah, win a regional.
Fair enough. If you could attend any of the international
zaraz.
championships, which one would you attend and why?
I would
Yeah,
probably want to
okay,
attend
well.
the LAIC Latin American International Championships just because I feel like going to
Gadania
especially
sobie
Brazil,
to
the amount
dużo,
of
jak
culture
wchodzi.
there that's so different from here in North America would be a lot of fun.
They also have the best crowds, so. And our final question, would you rather start every game with a positive matchup, or would you rather win all of your speed ties?
Win my speed ties.
All right, well, you heard it here first. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll be back with more Pokemon action soon.
No dobra, czyli już za chwilę. Nie ma już tego. No już są to katy. A, no to jest...
I started playing Pokemon 10 years ago. A lot of my friends were into it.
Aha,
and
tu jest
I don't know, the
poznanie
game just looked really
gracza,
fun.
tym
My
razem
favorite
z
Pokemon would
ligi
have to be
komputerowych
Flygon. I like
Pokemonów.
Flygon a lot. It just looks so cool, and I'm a big fan of Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, those
Kurwa,
games.
żeby
The furthest I've traveled to play Pokemon would probably be down to LAIC, Brazil. Not this year, but you know, in years past, I'd say. I would say the person I look up to most in the competitive scene is Michael Zhang, you know, a player who thinks very differently about the game, a good friend of mine. The highest I've ever placed at a Pokemon event would have to be getting first at a regional tournament. That's the best I've done. I've done it 3 times, but you know, always looking to do better. Internets, worlds. I try to eat something simple, something easy. I love a burrito. I don't know. I might not finish the whole thing, but you can save the rest for later. I would say between milkshakes and smoothies, I'd probably pick smoothies. I'm a big fan of boba, and you usually find boba in those. Maybe not so much in milkshakes. It's a much easier drink to have at any point in the day. I would say I really liked going to Japan. Japan was such a unique place, something so different than anywhere I've been before. And going there for the World Championships last year, it was a good time. When I listen to music, I usually like alternative stuff. I went with Sprigatito because I'm a big fan of the kitties, and I was really excited to see what it ended up evolving to. Meowscarada is a really fun evolution. I like it a lot.
Sacramento, California, the beautiful location for the continuation of our 2025 season here at a regional championship. We're here on the Pokemon trading card game sides, and you're welcome into our desk as well. I'm Shelby Boone here with Juancho Saldana, the primetime Wiz himself. Juancho, how are you feeling? We were watching those matches starting out the day, and wow, they were pretty entertaining.
Oh no, all the high caliber games here in day 2 have been absolutely amazing. I know the field is full of Regidrago, but I mean, after
Ale kurde, i tak mi
I
rajdą.
don't blame anyone from really
Górnego sprawą
Didn't have enough time to switch
smokowi.
over, right?
But there's so many new cards, and we've got to see them though. Like it was nice to see the
Chyba
Pikachus
Goldengo
or
jednak
even the
został
Togekiss
największy.
and the Goldengo. That one I like very much.
The new ace specs.
New ace pack. So many new toys.
No nie docenialiśmy Energy Search Pro.
It's the year of the dragon launch, so you can't put it down. I mean, that deck is so powerful. So many of our pro players are still piloting it. I'm hoping maybe over time in the Surging Sparks format, we can start to develop some decks that will consistently beat the Drago. But for now, Regidrago is definitely reigning supreme here in Sacramento. But you know what else is reigning supreme, Juancho?
What?
Some of the picks that we've had so far. We've been doing a potluck here on the caster desk. Some of our casters have never really experienced a Thanksgiving celebration that so many, especially me, a lot of people watching celebrate Thanksgiving. And usually it involves a lot of very scrumptious
Magic.
So let's take a look how that's been going so far in our potluck. And Juancho, we're about to continue that right now. That means we need your help in the
W
chat.
Stanach
to
jest akurat
decide.
święto dziękczynienia i robią teraz ankietę na temat dziękczynienia, tak, z okazji tego święta.
Talking about all of this while
Kurde,
we're casting,
Insurora
this is
roasted
making me really
turkey.
hungry. These are all foods, all staple foods,
Kurde,
things
jeszcze
I've
takie
seen in like movies and whatnot. That's the closest basis, really. And
Okay.
I think we're arguing for Incineroar's roasted turkey and Fido's rolls and cranberry.
Rolls and cranberry.
I'm gonna beat you to it because I want the roasted turkey because I have
go for it.
no idea what rolls and cranberry are. You're gonna have to enlighten
Stop
me.
it. Would you like to go first, Juancho, or shall I take it away?
I'll go first before you tell me what roasted cranberry rolls are, whatever. No.
Mam wrażenie.
So
You're the roasted one.
I know, I got it. Incineroar's roasted turkey.
I have them right here. I'm just kidding. What? Go for it, go.
Kurde, było takie zajebista ankieta i to jeszcze z
Alright,
okazji
so Incineroar's roasted turkey. You can't have
Thanksgiving, czyli to
Thanksgiving
święto
without the
dziękczynienia,
big
które
turkey,
w Stanach
right?
się tylko
And
tak
all the
obchodzi, bo
movies and all the things. That's like the
to jest taki amerykański zwyczaj.
That's the one you
Się
start
induka.
off carving in any meal, and honestly, who better to cook the turkey than the Fire Cat himself? And the Fire Cat's broken. In VGC, he's like the best Pokemon ever.
Have you ever roasted a turkey, Juancho?
I've seen it online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't really know how good this turkey is. That's what you're saying.
But the turkey, it's the centerpiece. It looks amazing. It has to be
A
right.
pretty scary, evil-looking cat. That makes it better?
I mean, if you think about it, if you imagine, right? Imagine Michelin star chefs. Don't they all look really evil? The way you're imagining it right now. Yeah, right? They have to be.
Do they?
Yeah, in the
No,
kitchen is
ale
very
już finalnie.
fierce. It's a very fierce workplace. You have to have that gumption in you, and I feel like Incineroar has his stuff.
Okay, gotcha. So is he just like blowing the flames out to roast it?
He
Or
could.
what?
He in a tight spot. He's used to the heat in the
Use
kitchen.
the oven.
You know, maybe.
Put it in a pan.
I'm gonna lose, aren't I?
Well, let's talk about Fido. What a cute little doggo. It's bringing you some nice, warm, scrumptious bread, buttery rolls. We're talking croissants. We're talking like those really yummy, flaky bread rolls that you just cut open, slap some butter on it. So delicious, and it's bringing its best. Okay.
Where does the bread come from?
It comes from this little guy right here.
From the Fido itself.
He's well baked. He's a well baked body. We got rolls, but not only that, we also have cranberry sauce. Wancho, have you ever had cranberry sauce?
No.
It's tart, it's sour, it's so delicious. It can come from a can, that's personally my favorite. It like looks like the tube, and then you cut it up, and then you can put it on the bread. You can eat it with your mashed potatoes, you can have it with your green beans.
But you
can
cut up
have
the
it
sauce?
with the turkey. Yeah, because it's like a sauce, but it's also...
How is it
It's
sauce
not
if it's
liquid.
hard?
It's not, okay, it's not
How
like
do you cut it up?
hard. It's not hard,
But
it's
you
like a
cut it up.
gelatin, it's like a jelly.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's like a ditto, kind of. Yeah, so you just chop it up, and then...
That doesn't
You're
seem
gonna-
like very good sauce.
No, so there is like homemade cranberry sauce, also quite delicious, but it's tough because turkey is, you know, a staple to a lot of Thanksgivings, but also like, what about our vegetarians out there, you know? They can't eat turkey, but they can eat rolls, they can eat cranberry sauce. It's delicious.
No gadamy
you know
se,
what? You
jak
make a good
smakuje
point. We're gonna
indyk
sit
z
on that one. We're gonna think
żurawinką.
about it. We're gonna simmer. So what do you guys think? Make sure you
Ale
vote
co sobie
in
wybrać
Twitch
podcast?
down below. But right now, let's go ahead and go back to the tournament. The real stuff.
No
here. Let's
wiadomo,
go
to
ahead
jest
and take a look
klasyk,
at our
czy trzeba jakoś
bracket.
zająć
I'm pretty
publiczność.
sure that's up and ready. Again, we have a lot of amazing players who've made it in. Again, our top 8 right now. Victor de Velasco versus Camden F.
Oho.
Camden F or Isaiah
Mamy
W.
ciekawe
and
top
John
8,
A
czyli
versus
Wiktor
Kenneth
Dewerska,
Gilman, Brent Tonneson versus
ciekawe
Grant Shen,
Kalman
Landon
F
Kettler
i Shan
versus
Wu, John
Noah.
Eng, Kenneth Gilman
Sakai.
wspomniany już,
sorry,
Brennet
this is
Torison z
not your
Grantem
name, Noah,
Shinem,
but
Lander Ketter i Noah Kagadian.
Really used to seeing. I mean, Brent Tonneson is here. Wasn't he just in LAIC
Co gra Grand
also
Shin?
in Top Cut?
Kurwa,
Yeah, he's
mamy
a
goldenków w top
finalist.
8.
Yes, at LAIC, Brent Tonneson didn't
Kalman.
have time. I mean, that was
Czemu
like,
to
what, a
są
week
dwa
ago,
nazwiska?
Wancho? So just brought the exact
Kalden
same
F i
60
Ishan Wu.
list in Reggie Drago V-Star. And hey, it has been doing him well. He's now here, top 8 in Sacramento for Brent Tonneson, and he's used to the travel, you know, reigning from Australia, but going all over the world to compete in Pokemon tournaments, and it has been paying off for him. So once again, ending up in a top cut in our Masters division here in Sacramento, but he's gonna have to face off versus Grant Shen, who also has a ton of achievements and is a very well-known player that we always seem to see at the top of brackets. I swear, Grant Shen is always on a roll.
No, 100%. I feel like this could be a top cut in almost any of our regionals. But you know, I'm not gonna count our hometown hero, Kenneth Gilman, out. I mean, Kenneth Gilman here in hailing from California has an entire cheer squad behind him. Sometimes you just have that little bit of edge, being the home base.
Co ciekawe, chyba mamy dwóch Miraidonów, jeżeli widzę.
I mean, yeah, you gotta think that it must really fuel you having an entire audience here cheering for you. They're right there to support you on the sidelines, and I mean that's gotta contribute to your mentality going into your matches. Maybe it might make you a little nervous because you have to perform in front of all these people that are watching you and cheering you on, or you could be the type of person where that is exactly what you need to push you through a matchup because you know that you're making everybody in that audience proud. So I hope, I mean, we heard the audience out there, they were screaming. So hopefully that continues and we get that continued hype here in Sacramento in our finals.
Oh, you just know they're going to be cheering him all the way, win or lose. They're going to be hype. I mean, making it to top 8 here out of over 1,000 players. It's such a huge accomplishment, especially with so many amazing pro players. Whew. that's a spot I want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of brand new cards that have been added from Surging Sparks, but a lot of our well-seasoned, if I do say so myself, players have just brought back, you know, what's tried and true in our formats. And I mean, we even heard it from Victor earlier in a winner's interview about, you know, a very well-known stall player that's now in our top cut as well, just saying that he doesn't really feel confident playing stall into a brand new meta where you don't really know what you're going to be seeing. But all of these players, I mean, they have had a target on their back if they're playing Reggie Jago V-Star. There's nothing new about that deck besides a couple of inclusions of cards.
Maybe an Executor, I don't know.
Yes.
I kind of want to see it if it's out there. I can't wait to see everyone's list.
Yeah, Grant Manley was playing it, but Grant Manley didn't make it. So sad into our top 8.
I thought this was his tournament.
I know, exactly.
No, but I believe our players are ready, or at least getting ready. I think we could go ahead and head over down to the floor and check things out.
All right, let's take it down to our match. Introduce our players. We are heading into our top
John
cut.
Eng versus Kenneth.
Here in Sacramento, and we have some star-studded performers here, and some familiar faces that you're seeing on your screen right now.
Tak, no to już mamy bohatera, Johna Enga, który gra oczywiście Reggie Putafonem, no i Kenneth Gilmana, który ma 128 Baltimore, no i chyba teraz można dać mu osiągnięcie top 8 w Sacramento.
Sacramento top 8 there, and then a Baltimore top 128. So Kenneth Gilman, this is the highest placement so far for him.
Więc tak, no znany Kenneth Gilman versus znany już chyba już bardziej doświadczony John Eng zespołu Reggie Drago.
Kenneth, again, hometown hero here, but is essentially facing almost like a final boss who's only top 8.
Final boss, yeah. John Eng is a 100% a final boss. Absolutely, Wancho, you could not be more correct about that. John, former regional champion, as
To jest na fakt, że są dwa Miraidony. No i Reggie Drago.
John Eng is one of those players that is always coming out to these events and just
raczej nie będzie
for his
takiego
life. I mean, he
nudy na
puts
pabudy.
everything that he has out there on the
Tutaj
table, and I can
dwa
more than
Miraidony.
expect him to do that here in our top 8 match. So let's take a look at these prize
Ciekawe zagranie Enga. To chyba ma wyszukać Draga Punta i potem go wywalić. Ciekawe to kolor Gudra.
There before for Kenneth in those previous matchups that here
energia i
Nestball
dwa
over for
Nestbole.
John. A couple of
Zabił
Nestballs
turbo i
there,
jeden
the
boss,
Terra
dwie
Orb
energie i
for that
Nestball.
Terra Pokemon, and that canceling Cologne as well as a Hisuian Gudra.
Again, you hate to see those dragons prized. Again,
It's at the bottom though.
It's at the bottom, yeah, but typically maybe you want that as your first attack. You want to be
Ciekawe.
able to
It's like a
hit or something like that. You want the option at the very least, right? That's if Reggie Drago has one thing to its name, it's options. But
yes, that's very true.
Right
It's
now.
options. What are those options going to be, though, for John Eng? We'll
No,
have
widzę,
to
że
check it
tych...
out here as we kick off
ile
our Masters
energii.
Top 8 in Sacramento,
No i mamy top 8 w
California.
Sacramento,
Kenneth not only
no i
playing
skłok.
as Maridon, but playing a
No,
very
w
beautiful
sumie
Maridon.
racjonalny. No, w sumie bardzo dobra ręka,
It's
zresztą
beautiful,
racjonalny.
The thing that caught my eye was the Squawk and Seas discarding, what was that, 5 lightning energy?
Jak wiecie, co
There's
to
a lot of
znaczy.
resources there, if I do say so. Wait, that was 5 energy?
I was trying to count it out. It was either 5 or 4. It was a
Trzeba
lot of
prizes
lightning
są
energy.
całkiem
Luckily,
spoko.
Well, look, 3 can come back.
Yeah, definitely. The new card, Magneton, that is a way to, you know, put
Znaczy tak, Magneton
establish your
tam
energy
ma
onto the board,
następnego.
but, you know, less
No i
energy,
chyba
with more
będzie
energy to discard
Gitkę.
pile means there's less energy in the deck for your electric generators to hit, and that's your early game attack.
Yeah, and also 2 energy in the prize card as well, but I mean,
No
Maridon
i
plays
Rotom.
a ton of lightning energy, so
Znaczy w ogóle
there's
bardzo
still
ciekawy
potential
koncept
here for
dawania
Kenneth. And I
Rotoma
mean, this
do Miraidona.
is
Nie
why
wiem,
you
jaki
do
kupię
this,
po
because
prostu.
you need to establish your board state here if you're Kenneth. If you have a dead hand, what are you going to do for the rest of the game? You can hold on to those cards, or you can just full send it and
właśnie,
establish
bo
your board for
zapomniał
the later
o
game. Because when
Pikachu.
you're going up against Reggie Drago V-Star, I mean, that is an oppressive deck, to say the least. So you need all the help you can get as early as possible.
Definitely. Kenneth here going first is actually a really, really big deal. I mean, typically, you know, Turbo basic
A,
EX
no
decks,
on
like
wie,
this,
że nie
it
może,
took
tak?
seconds,
Więc
but
dlatego
knowing that
tasuje.
you're up against something
O,
like
czasami się
Reggie
zdarza
Drago, which
rozpędzić.
loves to go first, has to
Nie
evolve
może
to even start
odbyć się.
attacking. Might as well take the first turn, maybe get one extra energy attachment, make use of that Rotom V, something I don't really get
A
to
już ma
see
gotowego też
in these
Magnetite,
Miraidon decks,
czyli
but that's
i
great to
Rotom,
have,
tak?
you know, just 3 extra cards, why not? We got the attachment for turn. What more can we ask?
Yeah, I mean that is
No i
beautiful.
tak, zrobi miejsce na
Indeed.
Pikachu i będzie raj.
Rotom V with the instant
Zobaczymy co
charge
Ink ma.
here
No
for
też ma
Kenneth. So
swojego
that is going to
spoko.
end the turn here, but it is going to end the turn with 3 additional cards. That extra support for
Aha,
Kenneth
on też
to
będzie
carry
gra
these
tego
later turns. John Ing, on the other hand, Earthen Vessel to start us off. We're going to trash one of these Pokemon into the discard pile in that Alolan Executor EX. So we were talking about Grant Manley playing this Alolan Executor. It is the hot topic here for our Regidrago V-Star players. And John Ing decided to add it into this deck. Is that going to help at all here in this specific matchup, Boncho, now that it's in the discard pile?
To be honest, it's
No,
not
czy
a bad
rozwiązaniem
attacker to
może
have,
być
right?
oczywiście
Swinging
Mist
speed,
Energy.
able to flip a coin. If
Ta,
heads, you
tak
knock out the
jednak.
active. If tails, you knock out something on the bench. Typically, you do see an energy attachment there onto something like the Miraidon, and Miraidon can't attack back to back. If you get tails, you could maybe try and snipe something in the back, knock out something like a Pheasantipity. It's just a nice attack that basically costs nothing. You know, you don't have to discard energy. Yeah, you don't have to send energy to Lost Zone to use something like Lost Impact. But I mean, it's a great attack to have, great option to have in the discard pile. But I'm sure maybe there are different attackers he'd like to use. Maybe even Dragapult EX, start spreading damage onto the board too.
O, ciekawe, jedna energia. Okej, czy chyba się szykuje na Squirrensis?
There it is, and there it goes. Earthen Vessel gonna discard that attacker there, but that's where you want it to be in this deck as a grass energy is pulled out of the deck. That's the grass energy that's going to be powering up this Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Able to use that Teal Dance ability to draw in some additional cards. Did you get a look at the hand at all?
Yeah, it does have the Squawk ability, but
Okay.
I feel like just signifying you're using Earthen Vessel, only getting a grass energy, it kind of
Ten
signifies
po
maybe that
tego
your hand's a little bit
Desiarza.
weak to your opponent, right? That you're not getting the fire energy, maybe you don't have the Regidrago. We know for a fact he is going to be able to get the Regidrago here thanks to a couple of Nest Balls, I mean, even the Ultra
Kurde,
Ball.
tak swoją drogą, tak
These are
zauważyłem
A-OK
jeszcze
here.
jedną
This is
ciekawą
John
rzecz,
Ing.
że John
Maybe
Eng to się
you don't have the capability
uwalił w
to
garnitur.
attack one, so what you want
Swoją
to
drogą.
establish is
Po prostu...
multiple Regidragos, multiple attacking threats for the future. Just have this first. This is Miraidon. They're gonna have the Gust. They're gonna have the generators for 2. You're just
Bring
have
out
to
a
play
secret box from nowhere. Yeah, absolutely. Regidrago V stabilizing his board a little bit. That was the draw off of the Teal Dance as well. So super clutch there in that Nest Ball, being able to bring out this Regidrago, being set up. There's the Fire Energy in hand as well for John. Ultra Ball going to go back into the deck as well for this Cleffa. This is a Pokemon that we've seen a lot of these Regidrago.
Że Eng tak się ubrał bardzo elegancko jak na taki turniej. To muszę przyznać, więc trochę może być idziesz na minionki w garniturze.
100%. Honestly, there's so many things going on for Cleffa. It's such a great
No i
card.
skłok na pustą rękę.
That's a fresh hand with that Squawk and Seize. Not a single card discarded there. All gains here for John.
I love to see the Ultra Ball as well, to be able to discard another dragon, another option to discard pile. Again, would love to see a second Drago. And again, very important to see that Cleffa, again, Cleffa, amazing Pokemon in this matchup because it only gives up 1 prize. We put it into the active, has free retreat as well. We've seen Miluslav, for example, realize that fully in LAIC. Sometimes you just really do have to take those couple of turns to set up. And by, just giving up 1 prize, that changes nothing. Force your opponent to go to the odd prize, force him to still take out 2/2/2, or, big V or EX Pokemon. But, yeah, no, Cleffa, great to have there. But, Kenneth does have multiple options
No jest
here.
drugi.
You can take multiple prizes on that
Cwaniaczek.
Cleffa. Something maybe with, like, the Iron Hands. Or, something as simple as just Gust one of the many V Pokemon. I'm sure he'd love to get a Regidrago V before it evolves to the V-Star. 120.
Yeah.
Get the one with the energy as well.
Oh, baby. I love when I get to do that to these Regidrago decks. And Kenneth definitely is going to have a lot of Pokemon right for the pick, and indeed. And we saw that a lot from Kenneth in previous matchups on the stream.
Gasping
Kenneth
Joe.
uses those gusting effects to bring up those Pokemon when needed to be able to kind of work around the prize mapping and debilitate your opponent as much as you possibly can. Looking at the record here for John so far in this tournament, actually took a tie, only faced off with one Miraidon and took a tie to it, Juancho. So that is kind of interesting here. Kenneth already popping off this Magneton for the turn here. It goes to the discard pile, but it retrieves those 3 lightning energy from the discard pile to charge up just before it leaves the scene onto these Miraidon EX on the bench now here for Kenneth.
Yeah, suddenly those lightning energies discarded early.
Pikachu z
As
wypiętą
you see
dupcią.
the Pikachu EX2 hit the field,
Tak.
that means our board is
A to
suddenly
oznacza?
about to grow thanks to the Area Zero underdepths. I'm curious to see what other Pokemon we're going to add. Of course, we're going to see that Raikou. Great Pokemon here. It is your it is your V Pokemon as well, so you can utilize something like Force Sealstone, great attacker, even get you an extra draw. It does it all. But right now, we're missing Gust. We need to see Gust or even something like Iron
Bossa.
right? We need to get the Clef out of the way. We don't want to take this prize. Maybe if we had the Iron Hands, but again, the energy did go into the Miraidon, but okay,
Gosh, I just love to see this. The iteration of this deck now that expands its bench. I mean, you saw it on the screen. We have regular bench of 5, then we have an extra bench. You can bench up to 8 Pokemon now in this Miraidon EX deck. It is one of these decks that benefits so much because it can play all of these supportive Pokemon. We saw the Squawk ability on the bench, the Rotom V to draw into extra cards, the concealed cards from the Radiant Greninja to draw into these extra cards for the turn for Kenneth as well. This is how this Miraidon EX deck works now. It's all electricity. We're plugging in and we're powering this house down, Wancho.
100%, bro. I mean, there's only one thing better than having Pokemon on your bench. It's having more Pokemon. No.
More damage, more Pokemon, more support. It's so good.
Yeah, we did see the electric generator there hit. Only get 1 energy though, but again, there's so much energy on the board. But we're still missing the Gust, and I don't think we can thin the hand out anymore. We're just gonna have to hit into this Cleffa potentially.
No, there's a boss
there
in
is
the
a boss.
Tak, ma bossa,
The
tak.
whole
Widzę,
time,
widzę, że
Wancho,
ma bossa
boss's
w
orders.
ręku.
Maybe you missed it because it's that beautiful
Inno
full
kauci.
boss's orders, but it's bringing up that Regidrago V, taking the first 2 prize cards down in this matchup in our Masters top 8. Kenneth is winning the prize race as of now. John still has that 1 prize card from the Magneton going down on Kenneth's turn here, but look at that board state for Kenneth. It is brutal looking, and John Eng is really going to have to work on the back foot now in this matchup. We have the Cleffa back in the active, as you said. Wancho the free retreat on that little buddy there. So let's see if John can run away with his hand. We need to see some draw. We need to see something happen here for John Eng.
Te ręce, jak na przykład Torisonowi, bo Torisonowi to się
Kenneth
wiecznie
is looking to do
trzęsą.
3 things. It's take 2 prizes, and then take the final 2 prizes. And right now,
take 6 prizes? Yeah. Is that how you play Pokemon?
No, but specifically the 2-2-2 round.
Yes, exactly.
No, and right now he's achieved his first task. He got his first 2 prizes on the juiciest target, Regidrago, with the energy. And you know, if you think about it, there's your other 2, and
Ubrał się,
there's
zgadnij.
your other 2, and then
Taka
here's your
taka
next 2.
elegancka koszula. Tak.
Well, just the squawk actually.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Let's know it turns to a B star. It's gonna buff up the HP a little bit there, but yeah, you can still take a knockout on it, I suppose. We're gonna see the attachments for the teal dances. Look at that, they're dancing the opposite directions there on John's board here.
Sweet.
Someone play the mambo. We're teal dancing out here. Let's hope it actually netted John some good cards in the hand here. We still see just this Regidrago V. There's the 2 grass energy out there, and usually you see those energy switches to get it onto the Regidrago V star to power up to start utilizing these dragon Pokemon moves from the discard pile. So at least we have the Ultra Ball here, but we've had a lot of resources already down. And the thing about Regidrago V-Star is you actually do have to keep track of your resources. You have this epic V-Star power that allows you to discard the top 7 cards, 2 cards from the discard pile go back into your hand. So if you're using that later in the game, that's pretty sweet because you can line up some game-winning cards with that. But you still have to make sure that these resources you are using, you don't have to recycle back as your only thing that you can do for later in this game, because then it can get quite sticky.
100%. I love here John Ang just grabbing this Radiant Charizard. Again, it fills a similar role as this Cleffa. You know what? They're both single prize Pokemon, and this is what you need to present to your opponent. Get them to the odd prize. Maybe buy yourself an extra turn, as we are going to see the energy attachment there. You know, this is almost like a Regidrago, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Regidrago. It's the way the Regidrago is powered up, but like you said, Wancho, it's powered up into a single prize attacker there. That's hitting hard. It's hitting enough damage with its Combustion Blast, 250 damage, to take out these 2 prize card liabilities over on Kenneth's side. So precisely, Wancho, you nailed it there. That Radiant Charizard is trying to tilt the tides here in this matchup. Plus, if you think about it, 1 prize card already went down for John from the Magneton, so that's going to be 2 additional cards from that Radiant Charizard if you can take out that 2 prize card Pokemon.
100%. And again, something that is just so key here is this Cleffa. Again, I just have to talk about it. It's so important. You're presenting yourself a 1 prize board with the Radiant Charizard, but having the Cleffa as well, that protects you from something I mentioned earlier, the Iron Bundle. Even if you pop the Iron Bundle, that's not going to act like a pseudo boss. You can always just present the Cleffa, and hey, that's still
jump right back out.
As we do see the energy switch onto the Radiant Charizard, just like that, it's ready to go, and it's a threat.
That is so cool. Not only that, but the Terra Pokemon within those Teal Mask Ogerpon activating the Area 0 Underdepths as well for John, getting to bench that Pheasantipity, draw 3 additional cards, as well as huge there for John. But yeah, we're seeing the, or it wasn't manual, but it was the energy switch attachments, plus the manual fire attachment onto this Radiant Charizard. Of course, doesn't have to make the full energy cost because of that Resolute Heart ability, so it only needs those 3 energy. But that's the knockout here from Kenneth Gilman's side. That Miraidon EX going down. John, 3 prize cards have been taken now for this game. Only 3 prize cards left. And Kenneth is promoting that Raikou V into the active position and kicking off this next turn with a Nest Ball.
Ooh, Nest Ball, and if I had to guess, it's going to be turkey for turkey here, as
nazywamy
finds
naszego
himself
bażant.
the
Znaczy my to nazywamy bażantem, tak sobie w Stanach nazywają naszego Phesantiego
Right now we have the Raikou.
A to jest bliżej do
The unfortunate
bażanta.
thing is, yes, John Ang has more, more established board, right? He was able to get the Pheasantipity, able to accelerate energies thanks to the double Ogerpon. But right now, that bench is really big. And I mentioned earlier, more Pokemon, the better. But maybe not for John Ang here, because that means maybe something like the Raikou can try and target down the Regidrago. I believe with the math, if Kenneth Gilman gets a full bench, should be able to take a knockout on something like Regidrago. Let me double check that real quick, but I'm pretty sure. Either way, we're looking for a gust.
You're doing math now, Wancho. Welcome to the party here. Yeah, but that stadium helping so much with that. The more Pokemon you have, the more damage output you have. And John has a pretty darn full bench himself as well. So that is huge help, as we heard Kenneth talking about the beneficial aspect of the Area 0 build of the Miraidon EX now. But we're seeing the Hisuian Heavy Ball here for Kenneth. So mixing those prize cards right back up to put them back into the prize cards. But also, you saw the jotting down because now Kenneth knows exactly what's in those prize cards. Within those that boss's orders, as well as a couple of energy there for Kenneth. So definitely taking note of what is missing as far as the resources. Look at this hand here.
Right now I see an Ultra Ball could still grab something like the Luminion here. That could guarantee the boss's orders. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this time I'm trying to look closely. There is no boss's orders in hand. It is going to have to be the Luminion to try and grab it. And unfortunately, I believe
on
the
gra
boss's
3
orders
bossy.
are on the top side of the prizes, so...
Yeah, that was sad.
Gast
That was
na
sad.
gaście,
It mixed it up with the
no.
Hisuian Heavy Ball. Now it's at the top. But we have the Luminion V here to save the day with the Luminous Sign. This is the bread and butter here for Kenneth Gilman. Just back-to-back boss's orders turn after turn to keep up the pace in these matches for Kenneth. So we have the boss now thanks to that Luminion, another support Pokemon coming out of the woodwork and carrying for the team here. So we are counting the math, making sure to verify this damage here from Kenneth's side of the field before we choose that boss's orders. But it's activated. The Regidrago V-Stars coming up. That's the brilliant V-Star with that amazing Legacy Star V-Star power that it has, and its primary attacker in this deck as well for John and Kenneth. puts it right back into the active
Ooh,
on this side.
go.
And that's quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, this Raikou, this basic V Pokemon is taking out my V-Star. I haven't, John Ang, unable to even use the V-Star power just yet, and it's the only Regidrago in play. Very, very good position here for Kenneth, but I have to mention, again, the third boss's orders, that's his last one. So we know for a fact it's the upper portion of his prizes, so he's probably not going to be able to draw it. There's no more gusting effect after this.
No, okay.
Yeah, the gusting is limited now. That boss's order sitting at the top of the prize cards, but the V-Star is going down here for Kenneth. Just 2 prize cards left to take, but is he going to be able to get those in the final minutes of this match here between these players? John, on the other hand, utilizing this Area 0 as much as possible. We see a huge bench here from John's side. 3 Teal Mask Ogrepon out at the moment that are able to draw into some additional cards there for John. The Clefas in the active, already ready to pivot out as well for John. We just have to see what is in the hand here for John, and we hopefully it's something good.
Hopefully we see something like Disruption. Again, just limit your opponent's resource options here. I'm looking at it. We have more Regidrago. We do have the Iono. I think that's the #1 requirement, because we do have the attack lined up here. We do already have the Radiant Charizard. We have a bunch of energy, and honestly, as long as we can, stop Kenneth from using boss's orders again, we should be en route to potentially win this game. And Iono is definitely going to help out. John Ang drawing 3, Kenneth only 2. Again, we know for a fact there is no more gust in Kenneth's deck at all. He's going to have to depend on possibly even trying
to widzę, że anglowa wersja gra
Pokestopa. Out a Cleffa and then use Iron Hands. That's the best thing I can think of.
In the late game, you got to pull out all of the stops here, and John is using that disruption method of the Iono. Both of these players shuffled their giant hands. They goes to the bottom of the deck, and then they draw for each of their prize cards. So yeah, Kenneth is just left with those 2 cards that we saw within the Electric Generator, as well as an Ultra Ball there for Kenneth. And then John on the other side, still working through this turn. Supporter's been played. We saw the energy as well for the turn. We saw some Teal dance happening as well for John. And we see that Radiant Charizard had already been charged up. It went back to the bench. Now it's back in the active, taking another knockout. This Radiant Charizard has been doing so much work here for John Ang, and now he's sitting at just 1 more prize card left to take. Kenneth, on the other hand, bringing up this Pikachu EX into the active position. Does already have that lightning energy attached onto it as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately, again, this Pikachu in the Miraidon deck, it's here just so that we can use yeah, just so we can use Area 0. Even though it does have the energy attached, unfortunately, it costs like a grass and a metal more. Because that would have been the best attacker in this position.
I know, that would have been sick, actually.
We need to stop Jean M from taking a prize.
We need the energy for it to jump out of the active. That's what we need the energy for.
That's for sure. But I mean, you know, the very special Latias helps out there. But it looks like Kenneth here, maybe hoping John Ang is just nice enough to give him a 2 prize Pokemon here.
Yeah, Iron Bundle jumping on the bench, but look at that. Being triggered with the Hyper Blower, and it jumps into this card after that. But that Cleffa helping out the party here. John just promotes it back up. Here's my little 1 prize baby Cleffa that can jump right back out of the active position as well. But
there it is. The only chance here is to get this Iron Hands up and
You were
running.
talking about it. Yes.
Right now, I believe we did have a generator in hand. I know for a fact he has something like the double turbo energy as well. So he hit double lightning energy here. Plus Forest Sealstone. We do have it in hand as well. That could win Kenneth the game. That's his only shot. How many lightning do we have left in the deck?
Na pewno idzie po
I think I see
żeby
1.
zwiększyć szanse.
Well, we're going to add 3 more thanks to the Super Rod at the very least.
Yes, that's true.
I see 1. I see 2.
There's 2. There's 2, but there's going to be more with this Super Rod after Kenneth draws it out of the deck with that Irida, searching out that item card. Super Rod going to be bringing these lightning energy out. This is what we need to see here for Kenneth to be able to secure this win with the Iron Hands EX to take that additional prize card off this Cleffa and take the win. Are we going to see it, Wancho? That's what it's going to come down to. The Forest Seal Stone here.
Okay, good sequencing here. I like seeing that Forest Seal Stone. Let's go ahead and pop that marker. Let's do it. Yes, let's get the DTE out to be able to. That's one less card in the deck. Oh my! If we just used the generator, we would have hit 2.
Oh no, we don't talk about that.
Let's not talk about what could have been. Let's get that card out of the deck.
You want to focus on,
1.
yeah. I mean, you gotta do the correct sequencing, right? So, yeah, we're going to see that double turbo here now to power up this Iron Hands EX on the bench right now for Kenneth.
All right.
Then it's just rolling the dice.
This is it, boo. It's 10.
This is it. Electric generator here. Huge for Kenneth. Can we hit those lightning energy? Wow! We see it. It was not only 2, it was 3 there on the Iron Hands. That is going to be enough damage after the Pikachu EX is able to retreat out, knocks out the Klepper for that extra prize card, and Kenneth Gilman is taking the first match here in our Masters top 8 with Miraidon EX.
Again, boo, sometimes all it takes is 3 easy steps.
2, 2, 2. Yeah, you called it, Wancho.
And unfortunately, that just has to be the route. But I love how this Miraidon deck has options, right? Yes, it's 2-2-2, but then we, even if you present a single prize Pokemon, we have the Iron Hands. But what a match! I'm already out of breath here, boo.
Well, we better jump right back into this here, Wancho. This Magneton, huge. So. We saw all those energy hit the discard early for Kenneth, but that's actually good for him to charge them back up onto the field, power up these Miraidon EX, start taking the prize cards early in this game. You want to start racing that prize cards. John Ang tried to do absolutely everything to put up a fight here, putting up those single prize attacker within that Radiant Charizard, energy switching to it, manually attaching to it, taking the prize cards in that knockout there as well to try to match the race, but Kenneth just had all the answers with the gusting abilities from the boss's orders back to back straight into that Iron Hands to close things out.
Yeah, again, absolutely amazing to see. And of course, this last play, and possibly the most important one, had to have so many pieces. Had to have the bundle, had to have the Iron Hands, had to have the DTE hit to generator. But Miraidon always has it. It just feels that consistent. And again, breathing new life, just that Pikachu EX. I just have to talk about that again. Just having the.
It's on his arm right now, yo. It's on his arm.
That's why, boo. That's why it's the big boss. You know what?
It's running. What were you gonna say, Wancho?
No, that's why Pikachu's the big boss. He makes all of this happen, having that full bench of 8, being able to knock out Reggie, Drago, V-Star.
No,
and sure enough, hey, let's start with it
here. A touch pass.
That's just an attached pass here from John going first.
Wow.
But, oh my gosh, look at that. Not only just an attached pass, the Radiant Charizard
secret box,
like so bad to start with that. We have 2 Dragon Pokemon in the Alolan Executor as well as that Dragon Ball EX, 2 Grass Energy, and the Earthen Vessel in the prize cards as well.
Best card you want to see in this position is going to be your pink card. Your ace spec. Give you as many options as you want. Let's get a tool. Let's get the Seal Stone. Let's get a Nest Ball. Let's get a supporter as well. Hey, let's add a stadium in. Ooh, blood in the water here.
Oh my goodness.
He feels it.
Okay, one thing that has just been the absolute story for this weekend, Wancho, has been our Miraidon players and Secret Box on game-winning turns. I mean, how many times we saw the Secret Box with a bunch of support Pokemon to knock out a Raging Bolt EX in the start, and that was the only Pokemon there. Took the win. We saw Secret Box into the win in the end game for Kenneth as well, and now we're seeing it again. Secret Box discarding those 3 cards, getting all of these cards back out of the deck for Kenneth.
I feel like it's not that much of a secret now, actually. Open the Secret Box, you get a win.
Yeah, the secret is you're winning. Yeah. If you're playing Secret Box, apparently. And look at this. This is how it all starts, and it's sometimes doomed when you're seeing this. Tandem unit on these Miraidon EX. Not 1, but 2. Bringing out these lightning Pokemon onto the bench here for Kenneth. And as you said, Wancho, Pikachu EX is already in the active position. That's going to unlock that stadium because it's a Pokemon if Kenneth is able to have it there as well.
again, the
Tak,
Pikachu,
jest
yeah,
w
gonna pair that up.
stadium,
Yeah, he just
cisnę
dropped
przy
it just in
okazji
time
to.
too. The Area Zero Underdeck, that's gonna fill up our bench.
No i
We can go up
poszedł
to
wam Benczyka.
8 times 2, 160 plus that 20 on the Raikou. That's gonna be more than enough. Knock out something like the Radiant Charizard. Suddenly, we only need to hit 1 energy off the generator.
Oh, yeah, and that's not what you want to be seeing when you're John, as you can see. I'm sure he's quite frustrated here to be taken out by a Miraidon EX, but it's not over yet. Kenneth still has to make it
No,
through this
jeszcze
turn, but look at this.
generatory.
We're hitting a generator, or not yet. We attached the Forest Seal Stone here for Kenneth. We're going to generator here. Gotta look
5
at
cards.
these top 5 cards.
Są
There's
dwie.
2.
Wow.
Okay, where does it go though? Do you commit it to the Raikou, or are we going into the Miraidon? Because then we still need more bench for the Raikou. Or we just need 1 more energy. Well, yeah, 1 more energy on Miraidon plus another way to
No,
switch.
he's going all Miraidon all day long. Miraidon EX powered up right now with 2 energy here. Photon Blaster requires that 3 and it hits for 220. And Kenneth, I mean, that is not a super tall order here, but that Pikachu
Yes,
EX
yeah.
is still in the active, but not for long.
Tak, no i Kenneth Gilman przechodzi do top 4, zresztą chyba
EX,
można
Miraidon
zauważyć.
EX fully powered up thanks to that electric generator plus the
Tak,
manual
no i
attachment takes the
Kenneth
knockout
Gilman
on the Radiant
przechodzi
Charizard
do
and
top
Kenneth Gilman
4.
is advancing into your top 4
Drugą
here in
rundę wygrywa
Sacramento,
poprzez
California.
Donga.
Kenneth Gilman, hometown hero here. Again, he fought one of the best players in the world.
John
Yes.
Able to make it. Hey, we can
Czy my
change that.
czyżby doczekamy
the
się
highest
epickiego
accomplishment.
powrotu
Let's
Miraidona?
scratch out the top 8. Let's go
Let's
into
add
top
the top
4.
4. Yes, exactly. Top 4 this time around. You can tell John is just absolutely gutted.
No,
by
starał
that,
się, ale
and
no
I don't blame
niestety
him.
Dong
He is
go
such a
załatwił.
well-established player. He's playing a phenomenal deck
Yikes.
as well, but there's just not much you can do in the face
No
of
niestety,
Miraidon EX. It is
tak
too
samo jak u
powerful,
Charizarda,
and you saw it
najgorsze
here
jak Crazy
from
Dragon
Kenneth.
jest
I mean,
zdradziony.
just taking back-to-back knockouts. We had so many energy on the field. We had gusting effects turn after turn. Even with John Eng putting up all the stops in the way of the Miraidon, it still had a way out, even taking out this Regidrago V-Star as well, and that was just debilitating here for John.
No, definitely. You have to give it up to John. I
Więc
feel like
tak,
he
no
played
to mamy
everything
Miraidona w top
correctly.
4.
He did everything he could possibly could. He had the Cleffa, he had the
No,
Radiant
dominacja
Charizard, he was attacking the
Raidona.
Radiant
Nie wiem,
Charizard
czyżby w Europie
by
lepiej
second turn,
ogarniali?
but it's not enough here at the
Stanach
hands
mają-
of the Iron Hands. And then, of course, game 2. I mentioned earlier, all Kenneth needs to do was 2-2-2.
Kurde, no
I was wrong.
pierwszych
Sometimes you just have to knock
streamach
out
to miał
all your
duży
opponent's Pokemon.
tak się rozkręcał, a
Again,
tutaj
sometimes
top
more Pokemon the
8
better,
kuźwa
especially on
Dong
the first
naprawdę.
turn. Lone Charizard beaten by the Pikachu. Pikachu saying, hey, no, I'm the real mascot of the Pokemon Trading Card Game.
Sometimes all you need is one, and Kenneth Gilman has definitely proved that here on our stream, taking down John in the top 8 there into our top 4, and our Miraidon players, they should be pretty confident, because if our field is Regidrago, and that's how that matchup goes, whoo, it's
We're
going to be a
riding
tough
on
day.
to the top, that's for sure.
Miraidon, yes, exactly. Kenneth before faced off against another Miraidon earlier in the tournament in the Swiss rounds. Did take a win, or sorry, not a Miraidon, a Regidrago did take a win against it, so that's now 2 wins against Regidrago going into this next match that he's gonna have to face off in round or top 4. But we'll have to see what he goes against and who he goes against
No, that's
as
for
our
sure.
other matches play out.
I mean, it almost feels like, boo, I feel like we're back in Hawaii. I feel like we're back in the World Championships. Don't you feel it? In the air, it's sunny again. No, of course, I mean,
Where's the Iron Thorns?
No, back in the World Championships, the #1 deck to beat was Regidrago V-Star. And it reminds me of, Jesse Parker's run with the Miraidon. And he was just like, he was very confident into that matchup. Because they do have to present a lot of liabilities. Even if, as much as you try not to, you really do need those Squawk ability. You really do need the Teal Mask Ogerpon. And again, those are just targets on the targets there for Miraidon, and again, it really reminds me of the World Championships. I like it. I like the feeling.
I know, yeah, it's great. I mean, this is definitely putting Miraidon back on the map. We had such a fantastic cluster of players that brought Miraidon to the forefront not too long ago. Miraidon EX, of course, was a very different build of it back then, but now we see all of the stops. It's somehow just gotten that much stronger, and I think the bread and butter for that, as you're pointing out, Wancho, is really that Pikachu EX, a brand new card from Surging Sparks, coming into Miraidon, opening up that bench, and the support Pokemon. I mean, the fact that Miraidon truly can just get whatever it needs on any turn, because we've seen the Mew EX draw cards, we've seen the Squawkabilly discard hands for more cards, the concealed cards there from Kenneth as well, the Pheasantipity to draw more cards. I mean, it's just endless. Like, what do you do? Even the Rotom is in there.
I mean, it's the new cards, right? It's Pikachu X and Latias. Those
Yeah, Latias too.
key in this matchup.
Supporters.
Surging Sparks, absolutely great for Miraidon. But you know what? I know I just got to talk to him, but I'm very excited to see how he's feeling now that he's going into top 4. I believe we have an interview here with Kenneth, so let's check it out.
Hello everyone and welcome back into the lounge. Adam Skarzik Watson here with our winner you just saw on stream again with the Miraidon making top 4. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling pretty good. I feel a lot better about that matchup specifically. Going into Drago, I feel a little bit like I've tested a little bit more maybe of it than Bolt, so I felt a little bit better going into that. It was nice playing against John, so
yeah,
very good player.
Yeah, he's certainly a fantastic player. And if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like Miraidon was one of the early ideas the player base arrived at to counter Regidrago, having this early aggressive push against those smaller V Pokemon. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. I think Jesse Parker did a really good job at Worlds of demonstrating how good it really was against Drago. Now, obviously with Pikachu and Latias, it kind of changes the way Miraidon works. It's a little bit less favored, I would say, because it's not as straightforward. There's a little bit more pieces, but it's still very, very good for the matchup. So, yeah.
And has this been the first Regidrago? Certainly not that you've played against today, but has this been an easier or more difficult matchup, would you say?
I would say this is one of, not easier for sure, because John pilots the deck very well. Obviously, the last matchup, unlucky for the start that he had, but in terms of the actual matchup itself, I mean, every single matchup, I think it depends on the player. I mean, if they're piloting the deck correctly, it's going to work the way it's supposed to. So I would say it was a little bit more complex, especially in game 1. I really was digging for my pieces.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Not to put too much stock in the matchup spreads. You have to recognize that, especially after such a grueling weekend of Pokemon, your opponent still has to be on the ball and force you to have it, so to speak. One thing, now that we've seen this Miraidon deck in action, have you been missing the Topaz Bolt at all, or are you really glad that you decided to go straight Lightning and go for it in that regard?
I've heard that a lot about the Pikachu not being an attacker at all. I think it's a little bit more consistent, and I always, especially in a region where you're playing like 10 plus rounds potentially, consistency is going to kind of be the power, right?
Okay.
So I think Pikachu, obviously, if you have it with Magneton powered up, it does way more damage and you have a better attacker, but I don't think it's consistent enough. That's why I kind of left it behind. But yeah, I think it's a really good attacker. I saw it a lot in Lost Box yesterday. I was walking around, and I think that's probably its best home as an attacker. So.
And you made a really smart call indeed to focus on consistency and to lean into your other attackers. Between Miraidon, Raikou, and Iron Hands, which one would you say has been doing the most work for you?
Definitely Raikou. Raiku's definitely putting in the work. Being able to swing for that much damage with that few of energies, being able to Magneton late game instead of 2 of them with a turn attach, it's very strong, very consistent. Even if you're swinging for like 180, a lot of 2-prizers are sitting at the 180 mark or so. So I think it's really consistent in that regard.
And overall, when we look at your run through the tournament, through this whole weekend, you picked Miraidon, you were coming in. Did you think that you were going to struggle a little bit more than you have been, or is your read on the meta just completely insane? What's going on?
I would say I got a little lucky. I didn't hit any Zards yet. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that regard. But that was my biggest fear going into this tournament. I know I'm from SoCal, so a lot of people around in my area play Charizard especially, so I feel like it's definitely going to see some play here. As we saw, it was like 8.75%, I think, day 1.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So I'm glad I kind of missed out on the opportunity to play against them. But yeah, I would say that was probably my biggest fear. But I think I have a good matchup spread and everything else, at least closer to a 50-50, 45-55 maybe on some, like Bolt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that was the meta call.
And when you're evaluating, Charizard's probably not going to be as popular. You're feeling confident about your pick. When you were testing, did you have at least a game plan against Charizard, or is it kind of just like give up all hope?
I would say definitely there's a game plan, hence why Magneton is such a vital, important part of the deck now. I think being able to Raichu late game into Zard is very strong. Especially if you're swinging for like 6 energies, you can kind of fill up your energies on, like spread them across the board throughout the match. Iron Hands is definitely a very, very important part of that matchup. Trying to get an Iron Hands in the active turn 2, turn 1, depending on if you go first or second. Swinging into a single prizer, or 2 prizes. Putting a Bravery Charm on there maybe. Trying to like keep them from getting the return knockout is very strong. So that would probably be what I think is the best way to go in that matchup. But
And to bring things full circle, back to the match we just saw you play on stream. You said that game 1 was very close. Obviously, it was very neck and neck. You can see what both decks are capable of. And then when it comes down to game number 2,
i się wyłączać.
catch pass, the classic
Nie będzie nasza
brick
kontynuacja.
that happens from time to time. And you know, the game's not won yet. You're going through your sequencing. Were you thinking about sticking to just a clean game plan, just taking advantage of a slower start, or were you already saying, yes, I can get the knockout here, that's what I'm going to fish for?
I think I knew I had a high potential of getting the knockout because I started with 2 generators in my hand.
Oh, I didn't see that. 2 in the hand?
I had 2 in the hand, and I had the super
chosen.
box in my hand already. So it was just the perfect opportunity
raczej nie
to get
zdążymy
the turn
top
1
4
knockout, as they
obejrzeć.
say.
A już zresztą już powoli przysypiam, więc swego bezpieczeństwa
I was curious when I saw like the first part of the sequence and it so funny,
zobaczymy.
right?